Welcome to Hardly Initiated. It is your host, Tyshawn Jackson, in here with another very special episode with my co-host, Ryan Ketchens.
Boy, we are kicking off a new year. It's really popping.
We're kicking off a new year and a very special weekend because for those of you who don't know, it's January 14th, the weekend of MLK Day. This is the MLK Eve right here.
Big facts.
The day before the 15th, and we doing it very special. Because we are going to be shooting this episode here with, arguably one of the greatest voices of my generation at this point, because we in here rocking with a certified school psychologist, doctor of clinical psychology, author and the prince of Pan-Africanism. We in here rocking with Dr. Umar Johnson. Welcome to Hardly Initiated.
Peace and Pan-Africanism. Glad to be here, brothers. Thanks for having me. Atlanta, want to give a shout out to Atlanta, one of my biggest support cities.
Yeah.
Whenever I come to Atlanta, the people always show up and show out. This is also the state of my maternal ancestors. We come from deep in South Georgia. So this is kind of back home, home away from home. And Atlanta is one of the first cities I spoke at when I did blow up back in 2010.
Yeah.
So this is a very special place for me. And this is the first live YouTube interview I've done.
This is huge.
History in the making right here. And I was telling him earlier, man, my mom was sending me, I think my mom actually introduced me to Dr. Umar back in like 2012. And I must say, actually, it's her birthday as well. Big shout out. Happy birthday to you, moms.
Happy birthday to the Queen Mother. And I'm going to give my mama an early birthday greeting as well on the 23rd.
23rd.
Happy early birthday.
Happy early birthdays going on in here. And we got something special going on. I can't wait to get in this conversation, family, because y'all seen it. The state of Black relationships. We're going to go there. We're going to take it there. So y'all get ready because this is going to be a very powerful session that we're going to have here today on Hardly Initiated. But what I want to do first is, Ryan, to tell the people the special things we got coming.
Now, see, this is the thing. I don't want to go into too many announcements because we already made the biggest announcement, which is we got Dr. Umar Johnson in the building. So I will say this. Today is the last day for the pre-release special of the Hardly Initiated dating cards, guys. So Love 20. Make sure you get that discount, and the cars is moving fast. Like,
they are.
People are really wanting to find connection. They want to know the right questions to ask, and the cars just do the trick.
That's the trick, y'all. So the link is in the description as well as in the chat. You put Love 20 in there, you get 20% off. For my first people, it's going to take about 2 weeks to get in there for your pre-order, so just be patient with us. But that's why we're going to hook you up with that 20% off, and go ahead and cop those ASAP. And big shout out to everybody that's in here ready to get this conversation popped off, because I have a conversation that I feel like, Dr. Umar, you are absolutely most qualified to help us out on here. Because, man, when I turn on, my computer and I look on social media or just see the conversations that's being had, it seems like it's truly a great divide between Black men and women today.
True.
Especially in the space of love and relationships.
Correct.
It just seems like we don't have a ton of trust among one another. Everybody is very cynical about long-term relationships. And this is, I would call it a major crisis right now in our community.
I would agree with that.
We already know we have an economic crisis in the community. But now we see that this family and this relational crisis that we have that's rising. Which one would you say is greater right now as far as an issue or potential issue for the future of our relationships and our family?
I would say that they're related. If we look at this in its proper context, we go back and we see that the rise of the single Black mother-led household doesn't begin until the 70s. Up until then, most of our homes had a mother and a father. So slavery didn't destroy the Black family. We stayed married through slavery. I know my ancestors in particular, they kept the family together through slavery. So it wasn't slavery that did it. It was the economic disintegration of the Black community. So after they assassinated Dr. King, the U.S. government decided upon a policy to destroy the Black man's ability to fund any future civil rights efforts. So they came into the inner cities and they took out all the factory jobs, stripped the Black man of his ability to earn. Remember, up until the 70s, they were not pushing go to college in order to be a success. You could live a decent life working in any of the major inner cities as a laborer. So they took that out. Then they went into the high schools and stripped the high schools of the industrial building training programs. So carpentry, auto mechanic, welding, roofing, electric, plumbing. They took all that out. Those was the skills that paid the bills. In essence, what they did was they made the black man economically irrelevant to the black woman. I want to say that one more time. The 70s was the beginning of the process of making the black man economically irrelevant to the black woman. A man's primary responsibility is to protect and to provide. We can protect, but the providing is the issue. Now, you fast forward that 65 years until now, since Dr. King's assassination, a lot of our women don't understand the political history that brought about the economic devastation of the black male. If my woman makes more money than me, that in and of itself is not a problem, unless she attributes the reason she makes more money than me to the fact that I'm lazy, I'm shiftless, I'm irresponsible, I'm unaccountable. It's the interpretation of the reality that's our problem. Because if my woman makes more money than me, then so be it. That shouldn't necessarily be an issue unless she feels some types of way about that, or if I feel some type of way about that, because it does go both ways. You have sisters who feel like they can emotionally abuse and emasculate brothers if they have more education and income. On the flip side, you got brothers who cannot accept a relationship where the woman out earns and out educates him. So it can go both ways. But that economic piece is major because we're the only men in America who are out earned by our women. We're the only ones. And it's by design. Now, when you come to YouTube and you see the back and forth banter between the men and the women, a lot of that is due to poor political education and understanding of the reality. But another part of it is trauma. See, we got to understand when we get emotional, we're dealing with our unconscious pains and memories. Nobody's in the present moment when you get emotional. The minute you are overrun by your emotions, that's your trauma talking. And one of the reasons black male-female relationships are so dysfunctional is you got traumatic man trying to relate to traumatic woman. Neither one of them is dealing with the person across the table because they're both reacting from past hurt. Which is why I believe that when you get out of one relationship before you go into another one, you need a period of healing, because if in fact you were in love, it's going to take you a while to heal your soul back, because love is the process of two becoming one. So if that was really love before you move on, you got to take a break and heal. The problem, gentlemen, is we don't like to take the break and heal. And the reason why black men and black women don't like to take the break to heal is when you are in solitude. And this is why spirituality functions on a foundation of solitude. When you are alone, your soul forces to the surface issues in your life that you need to address that you don't feel like addressing. So the reason I'm rushing out to get another woman isn't because I'm ready to build another relationship. It's because when I'm home alone, I deal with my abandonment of my mother. I deal with my sexual abuse of my uncle. I deal with the emotional emasculation I suffered from my mother. I'm dealing with the bullying from my siblings. You see that? Yeah. So how do you escape your internal demons? You run out and you date. And so in the black community, dating and mating has become the newest drug. It's how we escape from taking responsibility for our emotional health.
Wow. Damn. Dating is the new drug.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. Dating absolutely has become a drug. And we talked about that a bit with us not wanting to deal with our baggage. So you covered a spectrum of issues that we having right now that got us here. You talked about how pretty much the government has played a hand in our circumstance. Our trauma has played a hand in our circumstance.
Absolutely.
And those two together, has created pretty much what we see today.
Correct.
When we're looking at the banter coming that's happening between men and women.
Yes.
Today, this is the outcome of that. My issue is, do you see us preparing for the resolve? Do we have things in place right now for us to have realistic solution?
I don't think so. And the reason why I don't believe we are there yet, if I look at it from a therapeutic standpoint, in order for me to get to a place of resolve, to a place of solution, I have to be willing to empathically hear the other side out. We don't hear the other side. We talk to each other, but we do not listen. It's yelling. The women are yelling at the brothers. The brothers are yelling at the women. I have yet to hear a serious conversation on YouTube that involved reflective listening. So, sister, based on what you're telling me, you hurt because you have had man after man come into your life, use you for your physical assets, and fail to invest in you as a woman. Am I hearing you? Yes, you're hearing me. How can we do better as men to not disappoint our women? Because see, here's the situation. As we know, the woman is the first teacher of the child. So that scorn, unconsciously, she's not doing it on purpose, but the scorn is being passed down to the daughter. You see that? So the daughter is being raised with this animosity towards black men before she's even old enough to date or understand what it is. So if we as men want to improve the relationship opportunities for our grandchildren's grandchildren, we have to be much more careful with the hearts of our women, because whatever pain we put in her, she's going to transmit psychosocially to her daughter without even being conscious of it. So we're not just dealing with the failure of black on black love right now. We're dealing with the failure of black on black love for the rest of this century.
So you talked about earlier the rise of single motherhood in our community. It, if anything, turned our community into a matriarch at that point in time.
True.
Are we still there in 2024?
The matriarchy isn't in and of itself a problem, because not all African societies are patriarchal. You have matriarchal African societies. The issue is when the woman feels that because she's had to bear the brunt of responsibility for raising the children and paying the bills, that the man should have no voice. So matriarchy by itself is not a problem. Patriarchy alone is not a problem. It's only when we take this matriarchy, patriarchy, and marry it to a European narrative that says, because I'm the breadwinner in this home, I don't have to listen to the other person. We devalue the role of the man and we devalue the role of the woman based on European values. Because guess what? How much you earn has nothing to do with what you can contribute to the system and to these children. So all of us have been influenced negatively by the white man's power structure to the point where even in our house, he's still operating at a distance through the way that we think. Take economics. Money and sex, those two variables play too big of a role in our relationships. Sex is important, money is important, but they should not be the be all and end all of whether or not the relationship is going to make sense. And if money and sex are dominating the relationship is being ran on a superficial structure because money runs out. How you perform in bed, that will dim over time too. So we cannot be coming together for money and sex, because if that's the case, this really isn't a relationship, it's a pleasure contract. And a lot of us in the community have pleasure contracts we call relationships. And the difference between a pleasure contract and a relationship is a relationship requires obligation and accountability. See, when you have a pleasure contract, I sex my queen when I sex her. We go to the movies when we want to go to the movies. We go to the Bahamas when we want to go to the Bahamas. We go to the festival when we want to go to. It's all pleasure based. I see you when you want to see me. You see me when you want to see me. Relationship, I'm accountable to you whether we having fun or not. Relationship, your long-term best interest as a human being is part of my responsibility. A lot of people are calling pleasure contracts and situationships, which is when neither one of you really know what the hell this is. We're calling them relationships and they're not. So number one, we got to be honest about what the particular structure is. Is this situationship? We just trying to figure it out. Is this a pleasure contract? We just having fun in and out of the bed when we feel like it? Or is this a relationship where you're going to be accountable to me even when you are angry and upset and don't want to be bothered? What exactly is this? Because there's a big difference. And unfortunately, because we don't communicate with the women in our lives as men, once they open their legs, they tend to assume that there's some sort of a relationship here. No matter how minuscule, we never clarify that. And the reason we never clarified that is in our selfishness as men, we like to have our cake and eat it too. So we know she's developing a bond, You understand? But we're never going to clarify the bond because I want to be able to dip out the back door the minute she puts too much responsibility on me. Where had if you told her up front, this is just a pleasure contract, an arrangement, she could have probably done a better job of keeping her feelings to herself. But because we don't want to see her with nobody else, we would rather run the risk of hurting her spiritually and emotionally than let her go free to find what she really needs. Selfishness plays a big role in this.
Now, let me ask you this, because you mentioned about money and sex. What should be at the root of a healthy relationship?
For me, the foundation of a healthy relationship, first of all, let's deal with the 4 essentials. In order for the relationship to work at all, you got to have humility. A lot of times we don't have humility. If the relationship is based on ego, it's not a relationship. You see that? Ego means you hear me, but I don't have to hear you. That's not a relationship. That's a master-slave relationship when you have one person who has all the power and the other person who does not. And to that point, that is a very toxic situation we see in our community too, where the woman is the slave master and the man is the slave, or the man is the slave master and the woman is the slave. And you've seen these relationships where one person makes all the decisions and have all the power and the other person needs to remain silent unless spoken to, you see, which goes down another road of where you should not be dating if you have low self-esteem, because people with low self-esteem will always be taken advantage of in the dating arena. And too many men and women are out there looking for their ideal mate, but you don't have the ideal self-esteem in order to engage the type of mate that you want. So if I speak to a young sister, what type of man you want? I speak to a young brother, what type of queen you want? They describe them. Is your self-esteem at a level that this type of person would want you?
Ooh.
Because you can't hide how you feel about yourself. Once you've been around a queen for a couple weeks, she know how you feel about yourself, just like you know how she feel about herself when you've been around her for a couple weeks. So the role of self-esteem is critical because, as you know, a player, a brother who knows how to game women, he can read their level of self-esteem
quickly.
He knows exactly what her thirsty meter is hitting at. You see? And a woman knows exactly what his thirsty meter is hitting at.
Absolutely.
But getting back to those 4 essentials, you need humility. I got to be humble enough to be quiet when she's wrong to hear her out. I got to be humble enough to remain quiet while she's expressing her points about me. Everything she just said may be wrong. She may have accused me of cheating. She may have accused me of all kinds of things. But guess what? This is her truth in this moment. Let me shut the fuck up. Let her say what she needs to say. When she's done, reflective listening. Baby, you believe the reason I came home at 1 o'clock last night because I was over my baby mom's. Is that how you feel? Do you believe that? Okay, let me try to prove it. You see? Let me try to prove to you that I was not there. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The problem with us, because most of us was raised by women, we get a little bitchy. You see that? So when our queen get bitchy, we want to get bitchy right back. That's not the behavior of a man. That's not masculine. Masculinity says she's in her pain. And because she's in her pain, I'm going to validate her even if she's incorrect, because I don't ever want her to feel that I don't understand where she's coming from. We get right into defense mode, raised by single black mothers. We want to give her back the same energy she's giving us. That's a gridlock. We don't move nowhere. You got to have humility. The next thing you got to have is you got to have communication. One of the biggest mistakes we have in our relationships in the black community, we want our partners to read our minds. If you're in a relationship with a woman who needs you to read her mind, that is an emotionally immature woman and you need to end it. A woman should be able to tell a man what she wants and how she feels. And a man should be able to tell a woman what he wants and how he feels, because it goes both ways. Whenever you're in a relationship and somebody expects you to read their mind, as I've often said to sisters, I'm a psychologist, not a psychic. You understand? I observe and evaluate. I can't read. You see? So tell me how you feel. The reason why a lot of sisters would rather us feel them out than communicate to us how they feel is they're afraid of rejection. They don't want to verbalize it because they're afraid it may get rejected. So they would rather you read the mind so they don't have to garner the audacity to tell you exactly how they're feeling. In other words, you need to make a decision whether or not you're going to marry me. We've been in this relationship for 3 years. You see that?
Yeah.
She wants to say it. She ain't got the courage because she's afraid of what your response is. So she's been pouting around the house, acting up like, what's wrong with her? She want to know where this relationship is going, but she's not going to say it because you ain't giving her the confidence to say that. You see? So we have to make sure that when we are dating people, we're dating people who mirror our psychological age, because all of us have a biological age. We also have a psychological age. So let's say you're 45 years old biologically. Your queen is 45 years old biologically, but she been traumatized, raped, abused, abandoned by her father, emotionally scarred by her mother. Although she's 45 biologically, psychologically, she could be 12. Psychologically, you could be 6. And a big reason why a lot of our relationships don't work out is you got two people who are around the same biological age, but psychologically, they're at 2 different levels. You see this, you're like, damn, why she acting like a child? Why he acting like a child? Because guess what? They are not psychologically where you are. And here's a big problem we have. We think we've met our match when we get into a relationship where we never argue and there's no type of conflict or disagreement. That's a trap. You know why that's a trap? Everybody has a pain body. You got one, I got one, they got one. What is a pain body? That is an energy that you carry within your soul. It's a deep part of your unconscious that contains the memory of every negative experience you ever had in your life. From the time you got bullied, from your father spanking you in front of your friends, your girlfriend cheating on you, everything you went through negative is in this pain body, right? You have one. Everybody got one. If you've never seen it activated in your queen to be, it ain't time to get married yet, because you have to determine whether or not you can live with her pain body when it gets activated. See, this is where we date for 5 years and everything been great. We moved in for 1 month. Now we getting a divorce. You know why? Because it's easy to date when y'all don't have to share the same space. It's easy to date when y'all don't have to share the same space. Now y'all sharing the same space, and all that she kept hidden in her, or all that you kept hidden in you, now it's going to come out. And do you want to know why? The ego doesn't like to lie. Your ego never wants. When she says, "Are you cheating on me?" You say no if you are. Your ego want to say, "Fuck yeah, I'm cheating." And I'm going, do you see? You see, the ego doesn't like to lie. You see? Right. So once you're forced, 3 things normally force the ego to tear the mask off. Because when we dating each other, we're basically dating the ideal self. We're projecting before the other person. We're not dating who we really are. When you meet somebody, you never tell them, "I'm an alcoholic. I have trouble showing up for work at time. I had 10 jobs in the past year. My father left me. I grew up in a brothel with my mother who was a prostitute." You're not telling her none of that. She has to figure out all your flaws on her own, just like you have to figure out all her flaws on your own. You see that? And so that's why we don't trust each other when we begin dating, because we both know we got a pain body. We both know we got baggage, and neither person wants to be transparent about what their issues are from the beginning.
Damn.
See, we force the other person to learn them on their own. So nobody trusts nobody, because I know you got shit in your closet and you ain't giving me none of it. And because I got to study you, and I don't know how long I'm gonna have to study you, I'm going to try to hold my feelings back as much as I can. And for that very same reason, we like to keep something on the side too, because if this don't work out, I need something else to fall out on. Well, guess what? If you got something on the side, there's no way you can be fully committed to this. Now, let me tie trauma back into this. How can you fully love if you're too afraid to get hurt?
Right.
And if you can't fully love because you're too afraid to get hurt, you have no business dating in the first place. Because what you might mistake for love is nothing more than a psychologically unhealthy attachment or addiction for someone else's presence in your life to validate you. Right now, we got an epidemic of Black men killing their women. That wasn't love. You couldn't kill somebody you loved. You know what was going on? He was addicted to her presence in his life. His illness cannot exist without her presence in his life. And because he can no longer have her presence in his life, he's going to take her life. That's not love. That's psychopathology and addiction. Wow. And you have a lot of traumatized Black people running around thinking they're in love with people. You're not in love. You are simply addicted to their presence in your life. They serve a purpose for you. That's it. it's not love. And if you don't really understand what love is, oftentimes clinginess, attachment, thirstiness, and addiction is called love, and it's not. Love don't hurt. If it hurts, it has to be trauma.
Take us into love, though, because I do agree with you. A lot of people are confused about what love is.
Right.
So how would you define love?
When you truly love somebody, truly, here's the thing about love. Love is unconditional. That's the first thing I want to say.
Is it really?
Love is unconditional. If it's conditions on it, it ain't love. It's a contract. And that's okay if both of you agree on those terms. She may agree. We have a pleasure contract. We got an economic contract where you're going to take care of me. And as long as you take care of me, I'm going to be your woman. The Puff Daddy arrangement. You feel me? That works for some people. No, you have women like that. You have men like that.
Right.
I'm going to floss you up. And as long as I floss you up, you're going to be loyal to me. But that's a contract. That's not love. Contracts are different from love. Why? Contracts are conditional. Right. Love is unconditional. If I love my queen, what if she comes home one day and say, hey, baby, I don't want to work this. I don't want to be a lawyer no more. But if I only married her because I like the way her law degree looks on Dr. Umar in public, you see how this goes. She's changing. But if I love her, okay, baby, that's what you don't want to do. You want to go into something else? Let's do it. Love is when you love somebody, you are 100% unapologetically and unconditionally committed to that person's best interest, even if it is to your loss. What if your fiance come home and say, listen, babe, I had a long conversation with my ex-husband. I never thought I would look at this again, but we left a lot on the table together. I enjoyed the time we had. I think that man might still be my soulmate. I got to move on. I might still hurt because I loved her, right? But if that love is true, if you feel that's who you meant to spend the rest of your life with, I gotta love you and want the best for you. Most of us cannot do that. What we call love is limited to your investment in me. You see that?
Yeah.
Anytime they step outside of the box we created for them, we get angry because that was not love. You had conditions on it. Your woman gained 20 pounds. Now you're going to divorce her. You say, if you gain another 20 pounds, this marriage is over. That was not love. That was a contract because it had conditions. If I love that woman unconditionally, whether she gained 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds, I'm not going nowhere. Now, we might need to have a conversation about her health because I want you around for our children to get married. You understand? Right. But there's no such thing as ending a relationship because you stepped outside of my perfect box if you loved her. Love is unconditional. And most of what we got in the Black community are contracts disguised as loving relationships.
Because, you know, that's what I think of when I think of even the role of a man being to provide, to protect. I'm thinking those are conditions. Like, this relationship will exist between us as long as you provide and you protect. Are those not conditions on the contract of love? Or?
You are correct. Those are a little different, though, because those are expected gender roles that go back to the beginning of time. In other words, I know she's going to be birthing the babies. I know I'm expected to be the provider, even if she makes more than me. So gender roles are conditions, but because those are culturally determined, I would put them in a separate box because we come in understanding that this is part of what you're supposed to do as a man or as a woman versus don't gain no weight. Don't lose that job. Your income better not drop. Don't have more than one child. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm dealing with those personal conditions that you want to impose on the other person versus the conditions that the culture imposes on us as men and women.
Understood. Now going back to, because you were saying
y'all still good on the sound.
We good.
Yeah. Okay. Mine went down a little bit. There we go. We straight.
Okay. Excellent. So
let me give them two other ones. I'm sorry.
No,
we need those.
Matt, hold on. Wait. Because I want you to hold it because there's so much to unpack.
Okay.
Hold on to those two other ones.
Okay.
But I really want to touch on this because you talked about being able to us dealing with our pain bodies.
Yes.
And us not knowing exactly how to connect with one another because we really don't know who we are in that pain body.
Yes.
How can one, and this for me, because I'm out here, I'm a brother who's seriously dating. I really want to look, I'm trying to get out these damn streets.
Yes, sir.
So the reality of it is, how is a man looking to authentically know a woman, her pain body, what she really comes with to unlock that version of her and her to unlock that in me as well? How does that happen?
First of all, it cannot happen until both of you feel the other person is a safe space for you. So it doesn't happen early on in a relationship. It happens at a point, normally after you guys have been intimate, although I don't think that's a good idea. I think it needs to come before the intimacy, because intimacy tends to unlock a lot of that pain. See, so when you guys get to a point where you're pretty sure that you're interested in taking this a little further, let's start talking about some of the things we've been through so we can understand each other a little more.
Okay.
You see that? The problem is people are very slow to disclose past traumas because, number one, they buried them somewhere deep within themselves and don't want to touch them again. And they fail to realize that they still exude energy and influence all throughout your life. So that's number one. She don't want to revisit the rape. So I'm not even going to bring it up to him. You see that?
Yeah.
That's how trauma operates. We think we can bury it. You can't. So that's one issue. Number two, if I tell him this, how do I know he ain't going to share it with his mother, his best friend, his brother? We as Black people have a very poor culture of confidentiality. We don't keep things confidential. You know, I look at my life, right? I've never discussed my personal, intimate moments with women, with nobody. If anybody ever found out about me and a woman, I don't care if it was high school, she had to tell it, because I consider the woman so sacred, and her giving me that part of her so sacred, nobody will know that this ever happened. But I know few men who are like that. A lot of men are like women. They want to run and tell everything that goes on in the relationship. If there's no confidentiality in the relationship, nobody's ever going to disclose anything. A woman has to know that if I tell him this, even if we don't work out, this never goes into another person's ears. You would the same way. If you got a man who's been sexually abused or grew up in a foster home, but nobody knew it, or my mom is really my aunt because my mom left me on a step, if I tell her this and we end up not working out, is this table talk at girls' night? You see, so people got to really feel you're a safe space before they start to divulge that part of themselves.
It's expose culture right now. Everything, everybody's being put on blast right now.
And that's exactly why a lot of us are not willing to tell our significant others the type of pain that we carry around with us every day. Because if this gets out, it'll be used against me by people who are not for me. And so in my effort to bring some healthiness into our relationship, you just unearth my trauma for the world to use against me. Trauma is a hell of a thing, gentlemen. It's a hell of a thing. People bury it and they don't like to bring it back up. And see, here's the thing. To your point, there were 4 things we needed as children. If you got these 4 things from both parents, you needed it from mom and you needed it from dad. The opposite sex parent is more relevant, though, although both are important. You needed intimacy. You needed your mother to love you, and you had to feel the love. You need your father to love you, and you had to feel the love. Remember, a woman's first love affair is with her father. It's not sex, it's psychological. A man's first love affair is with his woman, with his mother. It's not sex, it's psychological. If my mother loved me right, I'm not afraid to love a woman when I grow up. You see that? And I have confidence that if this relationship doesn't work out, I can leave it and find another one. You see that?
Yeah.
If that woman's father loved her, she won't have trouble loving a man. And she's not going to walk around scared. Is he cheating? Is he going to hurt me? Because her father validated her womanhood so much that she knows if it doesn't work out, I can leave and find another one. Women who had their fathers in their lives in an intimate, healthy way, men who had their mothers in their lives in an intimate, healthy way, they operate in the dating game completely different. If y'all think about the women you dated who had a loving relationship with a biological father and the women you dated who did not know their father, I'm quite certain you can tell some differences between them. Trust, anger, vulnerability, confidence, completely different man and woman. So you need intimacy, that love. Second thing you need, and these are in no order, availability. Was mom present in your life? Was dad present in your life? Was they at the football game? Was they at the basketball game? Did they come to the birthday parties, or were they absent? did you have parents who abandoned you? So you got intimacy, you got availability, then you also have reciprocity. Did mom and dad do for you, or did you have nothing at all? When your shoes got holes in them, did they get you another pair? You understand that? When you were still hungry at dinner, could you get another plate? Or did you live in an environment of scarcity? So you got intimacy, you have reciprocity, you have availability, and the fourth one was trust. Could you trust your father when he gave you his word? Could you trust your mother when she gave you? If your mother dropped you off at grandmom's and said, baby, I'm going to the mall. It's 12 noon. I'm going to be back at 8. But you didn't see her for 8 days later. See that?
Yeah.
Any trauma we got from our parents, especially the opposite sex parent, we carry over into our dating relationships. This is why nobody should be marrying anyone if you didn't meet their parents, because you got to know who made them, because you're going to begin to see into their trauma just by being around mom and dad for a couple hours, which is another reason why I don't think people should get married before they live together. Now, I know the church and the marriage. Yes.
Okay.
They're going to be pissed off at you for
Yes.
that one.
Yeah.
But I have limits. Go back to what I said earlier. The reason why you got to live with someone, my maximum, and I tell women this, I'll say it here now, 2 years. If a woman been living under the same roof with a man consecutively for 2 years, he knows if he gonna wife her.
Facts.
First of all, we men, after about 6 months, you got a pretty good idea whether this is, you understand?
Absolutely.
After a year, you pretty certain, but you might drag it out just in case she got some skeletons that need to pop out. In
Just
the,
in
you
case,
see?
just in
Right?
case. Right.
Right. But after 2 years, a man knows. So when I talk to women who say, yeah, I've been living with my baby daddy for 5 years, he said he's still not sure. He's sure. He just don't want to tell you because he don't want to let you go free because he know how good of a woman you are and he don't want nobody else to experience that. A man knows 2 years is my limit. But the reason you got to live together is what I said earlier. We know how to be the best actor Hollywood ever created when we don't have to share space. If all I'm doing is picking you up, going to dinner, going to the movies, going to the Hawks game, going to the Falcons game, going to vacation to Bermuda, we have a pleasure contract. We about to turn this into an official relationship? Well, guess what? I got things about me I don't really want you to know. But guess what? Now you live with her. You under the same roof. Now, mind you, y'all been dating for 5 years. It's been great. You live with her for 1 week. Guess what you found out in 1 week? You found out she don't like to wash her ass. This is real.
Right.
This is real. She finds out you don't like to put the toilet seat down. You find out she can't cook. She find out you got 2 other cell phones and both of your baby mamas call you all through the night and talk about their personal problems with their new boyfriends. She would have never knew that if y'all never cohabitated. She not paying bills on time. You not taking out the trash. You not spending no time with her kids. Now, when you were just picking them up for dinner, you was okay with little Raekwon, right? Now Raekwon in your house, you don't want shit to do with him now. You see this?
Yeah.
You got to live with people. You got to live with people because you never fully know someone until they drop their guard. In the 3 conditions that normally force the ego to stop lying and tuck away the actor we like to project: pregnancy, marriage, cohabitation.
Yeah.
I recommend you cohabitate first before the pregnancy and the marriage so you can really know who this person is. You don't know them if you ain't lived with them, but ladies, it should be a 2-year limit.
I will say this,
That's
man,
game for
because
the ladies.
I used to always say this. I say the people that work with you, I used to say the people that live with you and the people that work with you know you very well. And I say work because you get to see a different side of them. They work ethics, you know, their habits, their patterns in a different way as far as they grind, especially a man. But in general, man, I must say, man, I've failed at it. I failed at living with a woman, and it could be mainly because I did find these things out. But the reality of it is too, it can be very confusing when you start shacking up with somebody. It's a lot of confusion involved with that.
It is, but here's my question for you though. Were you ready to compromise your personal lifestyle and the agenda you had for yourself? Because remember, relationship means compromise. If you're not ready to give up or give in on anything that's important in your life, you ain't ready for a relationship. You still need a pleasure contract because you're not ready to be accountable and you're not ready to take on responsibility for that other person. You see that?
Yeah.
So a lot of the confusion stems around the fact that you like her. but you're not ready to compromise the life I live. I'm not ready to only watch one game on Sunday with the homies when I'm normally there from 12 to 12. You see that?
Yeah.
I'm not ready to put in the type of time with her children that are not mine that I spend with my own. You see that?
Yeah.
I'm not ready to start being responsible for how I spend my money. I normally do it how I want, and she wants us to have a budget. I ain't never done no damn budget. You see, are you ready to compromise? Because two egos that are not ready to compromise can't have a relationship. That's a situationship or a pleasure contract. And again, that's all right if that's where you are. But the minute you say relationship, that means you got to give up in order to get in.
Let me ask you this, 'cause I want to take the conversation in a bit of a different direction. And we got all 5 of them joints in. We got them all in. Y'all better be taking some damn notes because Dr. Umar is in the building.
Yo, I need that transcription too.
Yeah, we got to.
You, no doubt, you really dropped about 2 books. Let
me give you one point before you turn it there.
Yeah.
We needed that intimacy, that trust, that availability, that reciprocity, right?
Right.
If you didn't get them, you will spend the rest of your romantic life trying to get it fulfilled through people who are not your parents. This is where you're in a relationship with a woman and you said, I feel like her damn daddy. I don't feel like her man. She needs me to raise her. The woman says, he's a little boy. I feel like more of his mother than his wife. You know why? They have unmet needs and they're trying to get them fulfilled through you. And you need to let him know that you're not his mom and he needs to go back to his mom and work on them issues or find a mother figure to work on them through because you're draining me. You're draining me. The relationship is weighing on me because I'm not just wife. I'm wife and I'm mom. I'm not just husband. I'm husband and I am dad. And this is why you got to meet them parents if they're there. And if they're not there, you better do a thorough psychohistory interview with your mate to be to find out what they went through in their life. Because if you find out there was an abandonment issue, there was an intimacy issue, never felt love, giving up for adoption, foster care, whatever the case may be, there was a trust issue, then you know there's a vulnerability there. And that woman or that man is going to spend the rest of their life trying to get the childhood unmet needs met. The Bible, I'm not Christian, but one thing in the Bible, it talks about how the sins of the father will visit the children until the umpteenth generation. Nothing is more true about that statement than in the world of mental health. If grandfather was an alcoholic, grandson is likely to be. Great-grandson is likely to be. If great-grandma was promiscuous, granddaughter is likely to be. Great-granddaughter is likely to be. It is very hard to break dysfunctional family cycles and patterns. Very hard. That's why when you meet the mom, you say, I know the mom is kind of loose. You feel me? Like,
I know exactly what you mean.
Right.
Are you sure that didn't get passed down? It doesn't mean it had to, but there's a strong likelihood that it did. You got to check your partner's unmet needs because if they were not met, they're going to be looking for them to get met through you. And that's not your job, nor can you meet them because unfulfilled issues from childhood can only be fulfilled through those parents.
So what I want to actually get into here, and good game, way to close that out, man, because that's good closure on that conversation. I want to talk about the leadership aspect because a lot of the ladies, we got a lot of ladies always talking about, you know, they're having troubles finding a man that's qualified to lead a family. And when we talk about a man who's qualified to lead, I want you to define the best way you can what you feel a man needs to actually be able to head and lead a household.
That's going to vary woman to woman. Some women want an aggressive dictator. Some women want
They'll never say that.
They won't, but they do. Some women do. Other women want a man who's more of a facilitator, who takes the lead when necessary, but would much rather collaborate with his queen. You follow? So we have to look at the style of husband a woman is looking for. And to my sisters, I would challenge them respectfully. If the man you want shows up with the ability to lead, do you have enough trust in yourself and respect for Black manhood to allow him the opportunity to lead you? Because let me tell you what I've had women tell me in therapy. Dr. Umar, I found a man of my dreams. Takes care of me, takes care of my kids. I don't have to work. I trust him. He don't cheat. No issues. But guess what? I was conditioned by my mother and my grandmother to never depend on a man and never let a man make decisions for you. I know he's what I need. I know I can trust him, but the conditioning in my family, the intergenerational, we don't trust or respect black men has gotten so deep into my mind that the very man I waited my whole life for, I might lose because I can't get control of my issues. So when a sister say you looking for a leader, are you ready to receive him when he shows up? You see that?
Yeah.
Because a lot of women can't relinquish that, even though our sisters have been punished far too long because of the white man's war against the black man that sends us to the penitentiary and to the graveyard. Black women have had to lead on their own for 50, 60 years. So they've gotten so comfortable not having to answer to a man. Look at this now. You're talking about 3 generations. No man. Now one comes up, traditional family values, church-going man, spiritual man, and she can't let him lead because even though she's tired of being in charge, there's something about the power she don't want to relinquish. And that's a big reason why a lot of women don't have husbands. It's not because they can't find them. It's because they cannot respect a man who shows up with traditional black masculine traits.
Ooh.
So is that a bigger, wow. Is that a bigger issue than the fact that it's not enough of these brothers out here? Is it really
both? It's both. Now, it's not enough of us to go around. That's true. But I will tell sisters the same thing I would tell a brother who says he can't find a good African-American woman. Go to Brazil. I just came from Central America a couple of days ago. Those Afro-Latino sisters is fine. I was in Jamaica. Go to the Caribbean. Go to London. There's more black women in the world than any other female. So if you're looking for a black woman, you can find one. Well, guess what, sisters? Africa has no shortage of black men. Caribbean has no shortage of black men.
They're scared of them African brothers.
Well, I was going to say, you know what the difference is? You know what the difference is, right?
That?
In traditional African culture, the man is the man and the woman is the woman. So the whole snapping your neck, cursing me out in public,
it ain't gonna work.
It's not happening in Nigeria. I'm gonna tell you right now. It's not happening in the Congo. It's not happening. You understand? It's not happening in Botswana. You see? So if the sister wants, and don't get me wrong, they won't have to work. Those brothers on the continent and many of the brothers in the Caribbean, they are that traditional black masculinity that our sisters crave. But are you humble enough to receive that? You'll get what you want, but can you let them lead? Because that goes against the dominant trend of thought coming out of the radical black feminist camp, where you don't answer to no man, you don't take orders from no man, you don't even make a decision with a man. You are in charge. He is the enemy. So if you're a black woman coming from a radical black feminist tradition, the last thing you want is a African or Caribbean brother, because they're not having that. You're going to respect them and they're going to respect you. You see, in America, cooking may be something that women consider to be beneath them. In Africa, our sisters guard the kitchen. They don't even want you in it. They proud because what you consume keeps your spirit alive. So they are very protective. The kitchen is almost a sanctuary. In America, oh, I don't feel like cooking. And you see, so it's a whole different orientation. So the same thing for brothers. If you want a sister with old-fashioned female traits, go to Africa, go to the Caribbean. But sticking here in the American theater, here's a big issue that black women have to deal with. We got to deal with it too. This whole thing of serial monogamy versus the taboo of polygyny. Many black men, because we get our cake and get to eat it too, we are outnumbered. You guys are in Atlanta, one of the most outnumbered states, right? Black men, black women, outnumbered cities. We get to have our cake and eat it too. Because of that, we tend not to tell women the truth that very few men, especially alpha brothers, are monogamous. Most alpha men, most men, period, are polygamous. That doesn't mean they're going to have 2 women at the same time all the time. It means that during the course of the relationship with the primary queen, you will entertain other feminine energy along the way. We're not honest with the women. We don't tell them that. We'll tell them it's only you, baby, and I love only you, baby. So every woman thinks if I find the right one, I never have to worry about having to share him when that's really not the truth for a lot of the men. Now, that might be an issue of preference, but then we got to look at an issue of predicament. It's not enough black men to go around. So if a sister wants an American African brother, she don't want my African brother, my Caribbean brother, my South Central American brother. She's going to have to consider a polygynous arrangement. Now, when I say that, the feminists go off.
They go crazy.
Absolutely.
I want to challenge the feminists. I got to push back on my radical black feminists, because the same sister who says she will not partake in polygyny will willingly date a married man.
I've seen it.
So help me understand where you are against plural marriage, but you have no problem being the undercover mistress for a man who you know is married. You see that?
Wow.
So do you know what that tells us?
What?
You're not against polygamy. You're for polygamy as long as nobody know you're practicing it. So that's called hypocrisy.
Wow.
Damn.
A lot of our sisters are polygynous hypocrites. I will do it if nobody knows, but if you ask me to stand up and be accountable to the community, I'd much rather not.
So it's pretty much you saying people we more concerned with protecting our reputation.
Absolutely.
Than actually.
And what do sisters fear the most about being in a plural marriage? The kickback she's going to get from other sisters.
Yeah.
It's the queendom that they fear. You dummy. What you in there for? Letting them sleep with her. Now, mind you, the same person calling her a dummy, her man got another woman too. The difference is this sister is with a man who was honest enough to tell her, this is what I'm going to be about. So with me, I'm going to have two queens, only two. I don't want more than that, right? Because the older you get, the less of your life force you need to be shooting out anyway, because you're going to die young. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing us brothers need to understand. You got to get that penile syndrome, that lower chakra under control, because it'll take you out of here early.
Wow.
You know, remember, women are designed spiritually. They devour our essence. You understand? They're man eaters in a good way. You see?
No,
So
yeah.
as you get older, you got to slow down. Like the Chinese, they have a philosophy of the chi, which they got from us. But they say you only get a certain amount of chi. And the biggest way you lose your chi is through releasing your energy into a woman. Once your chi is dried up, the ancestors take you. That's Chinese medicine. Yes.
Wow.
Or
They
even
say
worse.
it comes in limited amount. Once it's used up, you're out of here. So we have to start pulling back. But again, we are too oriented in our dating culture towards sex. And we're losing because of it. Even the women. Why you think they're getting BBLs, breast surgery, all of this? Why? Because we have stripped our black women of the sacredness of their vagina. The black man has stripped the black woman of the sacredness of her vagina. The vagina is a sacred space. You're not even supposed to go in it unless you're willing to assume responsibility for that woman and everything that proceeds from that vagina, i.e. children. A lot of us only see the vagina as a pleasure object. You see that?
Right.
And because we have reduced the woman to an object, she's now reducing herself to an object to do the best she can to attract a man. If we told all black women, we are not going to be bothered with you unless you start wearing skirts again, or we're not going to be bothered with you unless you stop dressing sexually provocative, they would do it. Because guess what they love more than the BBL? Guess what they love more than the weaves and the wigs and the tight jeans? They love having a man to come home to. We control the sexual explicitivity of our women, but because we're so thirsty for how they look, it's hard for us to bring them back to a platform where they could once again be regarded as the queens we need them to be.
Before, most women that I know, before they truly consider going to another country to get a black man, the first thing they do is locally just dating outside their race. Locally. That's what they consider. And I just seen your whole facial expression.
A lot of coaches
And I
advise that too.
And a lot of
If you
people
can't find connection with black men, then you should go out and try something a little different.
I want my sisters to be careful. And the reason I want my sisters to be careful, being who I am, I get a lot of stories from a lot of black women. I've had black women tell me they were engaged or married to white men for years, even with children, only for him to turn around and call her the N-word, call her a black bitch, tell her she'll never be as good as a white woman. You understand? Because remember, all white people have that in them. just because they're having sex with you. I don't know where we get this idea that if a white person beds you, that means they're somehow different from any other white person. Didn't Thomas Jefferson bed half the plantation? Didn't George Washington bed half the plantation? So where do we get this idea that if a white person is sexing you, they're somehow not racist? They just as racist. I had one sister send me an email. She said, Dr. Umar, my white boyfriend calls me the N-word when we're having sex.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
In fact, she called in on one of my lives and discussed it. Yeah. He calls her the N-word when they're having sex. And she wanted me to know if I felt that was acceptable. I can't even believe she could. Yes. Yes. Wow. Because you got to remember, in white culture, the men believe you never really had sex unless you've been with a jungle woman, i.e. our sisters. So all white men want to access the black vagina because it's the best vagina in existence, but they only accessing it, as a fetish. See, white people fetishize us. And we so in love with whiteness, and we're so in love with accessing whiteness and proximity to whiteness, we don't even realize when we're being paraded around like zoo monkeys. White women fetishize black men. And the reason why they love having a black man is in a relationship with a white man, she know who's boss. When a white woman is with a white man, she know who's boss. So if she wants to be a boss, she got to get the black man. He's the only man she can have where she know she can have her way with him. And if she don't get it with his consent, she'll get it through the legal system, i.e. Jonathan Majors. I can destroy your black ass whenever I feel like it. Yeah, you could be worth $1 billion, Bill Cosby. But what's going to happen when I tell the courts you sexually harassed me 40 years ago? See, the white woman loves the black man because she's always in the driver's seat of the relationship. She got the whole force of the white power structure behind her if he gets out of line.
Never considered that.
That is
wow.
And honestly, I think that's why internally I've always been shook. Like I haven't been able to truly date a white woman at all. Like it's fear built into me. I mean, all throughout my childhood, I grew up learning cases on Emmett Till. Growing up, that was put into me early. So I already knew what the situation was.
You do think about, you think about, when you see the police, you think about when you see a group of white men.
Or I even think about with the black woman.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be thinking about me while I'm with them.
You just out there, unprotected.
Absolutely.
I don't date women who have had sex with non-African men.
Even if it was just an experience?
Yes.
Wow.
If they sex them, a date, I can live with that. A kiss, disgusting, but I might swallow that.
Oh my God.
But if she gave that honeycomb hideout to a devil, if she gave her cookies to that Caucasian
Slayer,
I cannot go back into that cave after she let a Neanderthal enter it. I cannot do it. She has disrespected her vagina and every female ancestor we've ever had. I cannot do it.
Wow.
Strong words from Dr. Johnson.
So listen, what we're going to do, y'all know, family, for the people that's already here, you already know when we get to the initiation hotline, what we're going to do is we're going to bring the people up. We're going to bring the family up. And I want to get y'all take on this one here.
This is the first live he has ever been featured on. So this is huge. So y'all better send them super chats over. No nonsense when you calling in. Y'all make sure y'all looking good. Make sure y'all prepared. We're going to take care of the doctor. Right.
And listen, we're going to put the link in here. So Ryan, could you prep the link up for the family?
I got you.
Because what we're going to do here, I'm going to put the link inside the chat. You guys are going to be able to enter. You go backstage. I'm going to let you guys up. And what I want your take on is whether or not you are for or against dating outside your race. I want y'all to come up here. And why? I want y'all to be brief and I want y'all to be brilliant, but I do want to hear your voice on this one. And I want the fellas too, because as we mentioned, we seen the Jonathan Majors situation pop off and we seen what happened. And I think it's, question on both sides of the coin. So my brothers can come up here as well. So Ryan, let me know when you went ahead and dropped that joint in there.
Yeah, I went ahead and dropped that. I got the pen. It should be pinned in just a second.
I want to ask you this too. While people are coming in here, I really want to know this, because if I had to make it very plain and say, is it better for a black woman in particular, because that's who we're speaking about, to be alone, or to marry outside her race, what should she decide to do?
Why are those the only two options? Why could she not find a brother on another continent or consider plural marriage? And going back to the hypocrisy of the radical Black feminists who say they cannot be part of a plural marriage, but who will date a married man, there's another phenomenon in the community. And y'all see this. You saw it in high school. You saw it in college. You see it today. The alpha males always have a flock of women around them and interested in them. And guess what? A lot of these sisters who say they don't want to be part of a plural relationship are always part of that queendom around that alpha male. Because at the end of the day, if he got swag and she's attracted, she's not letting another woman keep her from entertaining him. You've seen this, you know this. This is the reality. It's the reality in the animal kingdom. It's the reality in the man kingdom. The alpha males always attract the women, and those women never stop their pursuit because he's in a relationship. They just will never publicly admit it.
So listen, I want y'all to come back here, Ron. Did we go ahead and drop that joint?
Oh yeah, we got some people in there now.
So let's go ahead. We got some people that's coming backstage. I want y'all to come on back here.
Almost 2,500 people in the chat live right now, so it's going crazy. This is a instant classic episode with Dr. Umar Johnson right now.
It's an instant classic
and see,
episode.
You got sisters in the chat, right? One beautiful sister says, "I'd rather be single." She's being dishonest. If you are not yet at retirement age, you're not thinking about being single. That's a lie. And so when we talk about transparency, because that's another thing in a relationship, you got to be transparent. And another reason our relationships fail, we're not transparent. We are hiding, sneaking, doing all kind of stuff. Why don't your wife know about this? Why don't your husband know about this? You got a whole nother bank account. He don't know. You have lunch with your baby mom every Friday. She don't know. If the relationship doesn't have transparency, it's based on lies. And I would dare say at least 50% of the relationships in our community are not transparent. They're based on lies. Everybody's holding out on something. So much so that if you really saw everything they got going on in their life that you didn't know about, you might leave them. We do not respect the sanctity of Black on Black love anymore. We treat it like any other game, any other scheme, or any other business racket we trying to run. And we got to put back the spirituality in Black on Black love. For me, I don't believe we need to be coming together, having babies, or getting married unless we're creating a family that's going to contribute in some significant way to the liberation of African people. We not birthing no babies unless we birthing kings and queens who want to play a role in the liberation struggle for African people. For me, that's the purpose of family. You understand? Right. We doing this for the people. Everything we do, we doing it so we can leave a legacy for our children and for our people. Getting married just because you think it's the end thing to do, getting married just because you want somebody to furnish you with all kinds of expensive gifts, I don't think that's a good reason for people to be coming together.
I love that. We got MJ backstage. We bring it to the stage right now. MJ, unmute your mic. You are on the stage. Wait, hold on, MJ.
Oh, move that one. Too late, MJ. Too late.
MJ lost it. You got to be ready, MJ. Oh, we got my man. Hold on, wait. We got, what's it here? We got Fizzy.
Fleazy from Black Renaissance Podcast. What's up, my brother?
Fleazy from Black Renaissance Podcast,
this man got the mic and everything.
He got the bro. You ready, man? Look, let me tell you. Tell us, brother. What's your take on this, man? You dating outside your race or what, brother?
Never dated outside my race. Never dated a white woman. Never had sex with a white woman. And I 100% agree with the brother Umar Johnson, who states the fact that once a Black woman actually lets a white man enter her cave, she is like basically no good to like the Black race. Unfortunately, I definitely agree with that take. I'm not gonna lie. I am totally for my brother and keep preaching that good word. So yeah, I'm all for stand with Black women, Black on Black relationships, you know.
Fleazy, well, look, I appreciate you coming up here and giving us your take, brother.
Shout out to Fleazy.
And I would say this, if the sister did allow the Iceman to shoot his ancestors into her vagina, I believe we can get with our queen mothers of traditional African spiritual culture and maybe we could perform a vaginal exorcism to get that white man's ashe out of her womb.
They got the detox teas.
Yes.
And they put some
Yes.
tea. They gotta put some tea
Put
on
some
that thing.
sage, some herbs, do some prayers, and get his ashe. Because let's be honest, and I want my sisters to hear me on this. Women are not men and are not supposed to be, nor should they try to behave like us. And I see a lot of sisters trying to be serial monogamous like a lot of men are. And it's dangerous to their spiritual and psychological health, because whoever a woman lays with, he will leave fingerprints in her vagina. Not physical, spiritual.
Yeah.
And a big reason why a lot of our Black women are so unhealthy psychologically and so unhappy spiritually is because they have the energy of multiple men swimming in their uterus. What they could have all used condoms. I'm not talking about his physical ashe. I'm talking about his spiritual ashe. Women keep us in them. Every man she lays with is in her until she conducts a spiritual detox. So sisters, please don't turn into a serial monogamous. And of course, if you're out there sexing too much, ladies, you're going to end up with a loosey-goosey. And the older you get, the harder it is for that loosey-goosey to rebound back to its normal shape and size and tightness. So ladies need to practice a lot more discretion as they age.
So now we got Keela coming up to the stage right here. I want to go ahead and get our take from a lady. Keela, what's up with you, sister?
Hey y'all, I'm Keela, 26, out of Atlanta, and I just have a question about.
Hold on, wait. Keela, listen.
26 out of Atlanta.
You 26 out of Atlanta, but I still want to know. I know you got your question. I'm gonna let you get to your question, but I want to know your take first. You dating outside your race or not?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, sister.
And go ahead. Let's get to your question.
All right. So you talked about, finding out those unmet needs of your partner. How do you find or inquire about those unmet needs? Just like talking to men. Sometimes they get offended or they feel like attack mode. How do you find that out?
Direct conversation. The problem with us, Queen, is when we start dating one another, we're asking the superficial questions. How much money do you make? What kind of car you drive? How many children do you have? How many degrees did you earn? That stuff has very little to do with whether this relationship is going to survive or not. Did you grow up with your mother and your father? If not, why not? How close are you with your father now? Are your parents still married? How many siblings did you have? How did y'all get along? Have you ever lived with a man? How long did that relationship last? Have you ever been married? Those are the questions you need to ask. Indirect questions that help you see into that person's childhood. Because guess what, Queen? We always carry our childhood with us. Psychologically, we call it the inner child. Who you were from birth to age 12 continues to exist. That little you is in you right now. And anything that little you didn't get from mom or dad is going to try to get from the men that you date. And the only way you can get control over that little you is to become conscious of how it operates in your life. It's like an alcoholic. An alcoholic may always be an alcoholic, but if they can become conscious of their drinking behavior, they can control it. We have to get in touch with the little us, the inner child, so we can limit the influence it has in our life. Let me give you a quick example. You meet a young man in Atlanta. He's handsome. He's everything you want in a man. He got the body, he got the job, he got the car. But guess what? Psychologically, your intelligence as a Black woman tells you he's not what you need. He is trouble. You know it. But guess what? That little girl in you who never got no attention in elementary school, or the one who was abandoned by her daddy, or the one who never dated a man this handsome, is whispering into your subconscious, you better get him. Don't you let him go. And the next thing you know, you spending 5 years with a man who you know you never should have been with. Why were you with him? because your inner child had an unmet need and you didn't have enough discipline to overpower her desires. Control your inner child.
Wow.
Keela, shout out to you here in the city of Atlanta.
She on the stage with Dr. Umar Johnson right now. This is epic for the niches. This is once in a lifetime for many people.
Let me tell you what Keela need though. Keela, what you really need is these Harley and Love dating cards. Shameless plug, right? You need to whip this out on this brother, and say, all right, look, these superficial questions ain't working. And I'm gonna go ahead and ask some real questions here.
We might have to do a little collab. We might have to get some Dr. Umar Johnson questions in there.
Oh Lord, yes indeed.
As a matter of fact, Key, let me tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and give you a free deck because I want you to be successful.
Powerful.
Matter of fact, go ahead, send us over, email us at info@hardlyinitiated.com, info@hardlyinitiated.com. And go send me your first and last name. Make sure you put Keela. Let us know we talked to you today. None of you phonies out here. This is only for Keela, y'all. No more emails besides Keela.
It's not too many of me.
Absolutely. And we're going to get this over to you. But thank you so much, Keela, okay?
And Keela, let me give her 3 quick points. And I know we got to run. Keela, number 1, understand this about men. I don't care what any man ever tells you. The longer you make us wait for the cookie, the more we will value you after we get it. Do you understand me? Time does matter. With that being said, I want you to understand this. With that being said, if a man respects women, it doesn't matter how soon y'all did it. And if a man does not respect women, it don't matter how long you made him wait. Make sure you know how he feels about women. And there's no better way to find that out than to ask him how he feels about his mother. And the last point, Queen, don't make the mistake of so many sisters who look for men who they have something in common with, right? We both psychologists. We both watch the reality show. We both like to read. We both like the beach. That's superficial. You should be looking for whether or not y'all share the same values. He like to spend money. You like to save money. You want to have a lot of children. He don't want none. You believe in a relationship with God. He don't believe in God. You believe in saving for retirement. He wants to live for today. Study a man's values and make sure you can live with what he believes in. And the last thing, I know I said 3, but I'm going to give you this. You can never change a person. When you meet that man, Queen, ask yourself this and be honest with yourself. Can I live with him as he is if he never changed for the rest of my life? Never get married because you think it's going to make the problems go away. Marriage will only highlight and intensify the problems that are already there.
That's a bar. That's a bar. Look, Keela, thank you so much for coming up on here and sharing with us, sweetie, okay?
Thank you.
I just love seeing like young ladies really trying to get it together.
Powerful.
You know what I'm saying?
For the A too, so that was dope.
And as we get older, gentlemen, we have to evolve to be the elders, even if we're not yet an elder age, for our younger sisters. Because one thing that every Black woman needs, and a lot of them don't have, every Black woman needs a man who loves her unconditionally without wanting what's between her legs. And one of the biggest problems in the Black community is we have a lot of Black women who don't have a single man, not a grandfather, not a father, not an uncle, not a cousin, not a pastor who loves them unconditionally, intimately, without wanting what's between her legs. And the older we get, we have to start building those relationships with them young sisters, because without that, they're going to be at a disadvantage when it's time to start dating. They won't have nobody to ask those questions to.
No, that's listen. You actually talked about this prior. Aside from our biological age,
psychological age. Are they mature enough to be with you? Let me give you an example. I travel, right? I'm always traveling. So when I meet sisters, they got to know up front. Well, number one, I'm gonna have 2 queens. That's number one. Number 2, you won't see me for weeks on end. When I go to Africa, I'm there 30 days straight.
Yeah.
Are you sure you can adjust to that lifestyle? Because the revolutionary lifestyle doesn't lend itself easily to marriage. Dr. King said it. Malcolm said it. Garvey said it. It's not an easy life to be married to a man who could lose his life any moment for what he stands for. But sisters are so attracted to the celebrity of Dr. Umar. They're not looking at the activists. They not even seeing. All they see is the YouTube and the breakfast. No, I could lose all this. So if you coming to me for that, then this relationship is being built on quicksand. Can you go them days without me? And can I trust that when I'm not in America, somebody else ain't eating cookies out of my cookie bag? You see how that works?
Yeah.
Which takes me to another point. Emotionally damaged people are always sexually promiscuous. Let me say this again. If you are traumatized, if you are emotionally damaged, you are promiscuous. And do you want to know why?
Why is that?
Emotionally traumatized people require constant validation from others. You married to a woman who's been traumatized, abuse, abandonment, whatever. When you're not around her for too many days, she has to entertain another man because her trauma dictates constant validation. And constant validation means I must have a man in my personal space. You ever date a woman who was crazy about you? She absolutely loved you, so you thought. It was really addiction.
Yeah.
When you finally let her go, when you finally got her to stop stalking you, she ended up with another man like that. And your ego took a hit. You said, wait a minute. I know that woman was crazy about me. Climbed in my window, came to my... You understand? She was... She was crazy about your presence in her life. And the minute you distance yourself from her life, she found a replacement without a problem. Emotionally damaged people are promiscuous because they cannot go without constant validation.
They need that validation.
They need it. Most of our promiscuous women are damaged women. They're not having sex because they love having sex. They're having sex because they have learned this is the only way I can get a man's attention.
First of all, we got so many. Listen, big shout out to Nzinga in here dropping super chats for the family.
Oh, man, it's going crazy.
Okay?
Listen, shout out. Nzinga, you got to email us. Email us. I didn't get your email. We actually owe you a pack of these Harley and Love name cards.
Facts.
So simply, Nzinga, make sure you email us at info@harleyinitiated.com. Shout out to her and shout out to Orlando, man, showing love, dropping them bottles.
20
in the
memberships
chat.
just came in.
You know what?
Big shout out to Orlando.
Yes,
I'm gonna hit a light flex too. Let me see. Let me drop a little something. Let me drop 5 memberships.
Drop
right
a
now.
membership for the people. I love it. I love it. The initiates are here growing.
Because we got over 2,600 people in the chat. I know y'all want to join the chat. Right now, it is initiates only. So please make sure you join the channel and the family so you can get active in the chat. And if you don't mind, Ty, I actually got a couple super chats that came in.
Please.
So, because people want to dig in. So shout out to one of my favorites. Shout out to Yali. She says, how does Dr. Umar feel about light-skinned Caribbean Latinos? He only mentioned accepting Afro Latinos.
Okay. First of all, complexion does not disqualify you from being African. So when I say Afro Latino, that's whether you're light skin, brown skin, tan skin, or chocolate. The first color on the Honorable Marcus Garvey's red, black, and green flag is red because it's the blood that makes you an African, the blood. So if a light-skinned, fair-skinned, Spanish-speaking Afro-Latino identifies as African, that's the key. They must identify as African. Being biologically black is not enough. Clarence Thomas is biologically black. Jesse Lee Peterson is biologically black. Candace Owens is biologically black. Charles Barkley is biologically black. But are you psychologically black? Does the light-skinned African Latina sister identify with the rest of us? If she does, she can be your wife. If she does not consider herself black, has no type of affinity for American African, then she is taboo if you consider yourself a Pan-Africanist or a man of his people.
So you're not mad if a brother walks in with a Spanish or a Latino?
I just came from Panama and seen a whole bunch of African led.
Mom's side Panamanian.
There you go. So
right.
I just came from.
You was in Cologne?
I just came from Cologne, bro.
That's where they at.
And you know, Marcus Garvey lived there.
Right.
He lived in Cologne City.
I didn't know that.
That was one of the largest Garvey chapters, brother.
Wow.
So they black like us. The problem is in the Caribbean, they created a color hierarchy, the white power structure. So the lighter you were, the more opportunity you had. Our people internalized that. And they said, well, I only want to have children with light-skinned people so I could move up in society. You see that?
Yeah.
But for those African Latinos who didn't allow that to seep into their psyche, I have no problem. I would marry an African Latina sister if she's black and conscious and proud to be African. It's about the mentality and the consciousness, not the complexion.
Latina, drop your IG. He said he down with it.
Yeah.
You gotta be okay with two.
And I think this qualifies under the same, and you let me know, Dr. Umar, but my mom, shout out to Tamisha Ford. She says, my mom is white and my father is black. If race matters more than spirit, what are you saying about biracial children? Who do you propose we date?
Okay. First of all, you're assuming that Caucasians have a spirit. That's number one.
Damn.
Number two, in the Pan-African movement, we do not discriminate against mixed race Africans. So if your mother is white and your father is black, or your father is white and your mother is black, once again, if you identify with your African family, I have no issue at all with marrying a mixed race African sister. I've dated mixed race African sisters. Martin Delaney, the grandfather of Pan-Africanism, was married to a mixed race African sister. Some of our Pan-Africanist forefathers were mixed race African men. So Bob Marley was mixed race. There's even some conjecture that the great Nat Turner might have been mixed race. So we don't discriminate. Why not? Because you're not responsible for how you got here. You understand? You had no control over that. You have the DNA of Africa in you. And if you're loyal to it, come on in and join the party. I just ask that the mixed race Africans don't play the fence. You want to be pro-black when Dr. Umar around, but you a straight up Jew when I'm not around. You see what I'm saying? So make up your mind that you're going to be a full-time African. If you make up your mind you're going to be a full-time African, we good.
I get it.
Man, no issue with
it's clear.
Yeah,
it's clear.
It's very clear. So everybody that had questions, it should be cleared up. I'm gonna bring one or two other people up real quick so we can get your take on this before we move back to the conversation here. Who we gonna bring up on this joint, man? You know what? Let's bring the brother. We got Mike in the chat here. Mike, welcome to the stage. Hey. Welcome to Harley Initiative, my brother. Can you hear us?
Loud and clear. Mic check. Mic check.
Do me a favor, Mike. Give me your age, your location, and I want to hear your take on this.
29, California, and Umar's not gonna like me because I believe that you can date who you want to date, just don't be a coon. And you know, we regard Frederick Douglass with high esteem, and he married a white woman at the end of the day. So I look at a man's actions more so than who he dates.
Let me respond to my brother, and I appreciate the dialogue because we still brothers even if we disagree. I want to clarify the Frederick Douglass piece. You're absolutely right. About a decade before his death as an old man, he married a white woman. But let's not forget about Queen Mother Anna Murray Douglass, who he was married to for nearly 50 years, who gave birth to all 5 of his children, who helped him escape from slavery to freedom, and who ran the Underground Railroad in Rochester, New York during his absence. I'm only bringing that up because we talk about the white woman so much that a lot of our children don't know. Frederick Douglass had a dark-skinned, chocolate, beautiful, nappy-headed wife. So I want to make sure Anna Murray Douglass gets her due. Now, to your question, to your point that we can marry who we want and not be a coon. How is not building a family with a black woman? How can you be exempt from cooning if you do not build family with black woman?
So by your own rhetoric, it's okay if we marry a white woman as long as we marry a black woman first. No,
you should not be marrying a white woman at all. If the salvation of the African people rests on the shoulders of the African family, do we not have an obligation to be with our own women?
Interesting. And I believe that you exclusively date sisters, right?
Yes. And what about the wealth argument? Women on average outlive their husbands. So when we transition, if we married a snow bunny, is she going to use any of your wealth to empower the black community after you're gone, i.e. Kobe Bryant, i.e. Marvelous Marvin Hagler? You know, all these great black men who married these white women. James Earl Jones is an elder. We're not expecting him to go anywhere anytime soon. Sidney Poitier still with us, or did he?
I'm not sure.
Can somebody
I'm gonna look that up.
Look that up, please. I don't want to speak it if it's not correct. We don't want to force no elders into the land of the ancestors before their time.
Too soon. Well, the only reason I mentioned that I judge a man by his actions is because
he passed. Sidney Poitier passed away, married to a white woman. He was a very wealthy man. That white woman got all the Sidney Poitier's money. That non-African Latino got all of Kobe Bryant's money. That white woman got all of Marvelous Marvin Hagler's money. This is wealth that we need to empower the Black community and build institutions. How are you not a sellout if you're giving white people that type of wealth when they've already stolen enough from us? How could you find a white woman who could ever understand you as well as a sister?
Yeah. Well, the only reason why I mentioned people's actions is because you yourself exclusively date Black, yet you're one of the biggest scammers in our community. It's been 12 years and you still haven't.
We gotta let him.
Why you do me like that?
Man,
Why you do me like that, bro? Oh man. Oh,
we was going good till Michael went a little left.
Mike, come
Mike
on.
went a little left.
man.
Yeah,
I
man,
thought the brother was a good brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I actually want to talk about some of the stuff that we've been hitting here because
No problem. Go right ahead.
Go right ahead. We hit on colorism a little bit,
which is a big problem in our community. And Black men, I'm gonna put this on us sisters too. We practice color. I think the colorism of Black men in the dating world supersedes the colorism of sisters in the dating world.
See, we never, you don't hear this conversation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
yes,
now, what do you mean by that?
Black men are extremely biased against dark-skinned Black women. I've been in rooms. I've been in events, and this is a global phenomenon too. It's not limited here. It's a Pan-African issue. I've been in spaces, right, where there might be 3 or 4 sisters over there. They are all attractive, but the dark sister, in some cases, stunningly beautiful, and the brother would always go to one of the lighter ones just because she was like. I've seen this repeatedly and consistently. I hear young men say they only date light skin. Look at the gangster rap community. Many of our prominent gangster rappers have at least one song where they either condemn dark skinned women or promote light-skinned women. Jay-Z, he has a song earlier years where he says he only dates the wavy light skin.
Yeah.
Him being with Beyonce is not an accident. He probably would never consider a dark-skinned woman. I'm not trying to say Mr. Carter is a light-skinned supremacist, but going off of his lyrics, he may definitely qualify for one. Our dark-skinned sisters who are just as beautiful as our browns and our yellows are being overlooked by Black men because they don't have a complexion that approximates the slave master.
That's, and we never really talk about,
and it has permeated the Black consciousness community. I'm going to put my Black conscious people on blast too. And by Black consciousness, I'm loosely referring to all the brothers who claim to be woke in some way or another, including scholars, elders, and youth. If you go through the conscious community, 99% of all the conscious talking heads have women who can pass a brown paper bag test. You're not going to tell me it's a pure coincidence that most of our Black scholars, most of our young conscious brothers in the YouTubian world, you can't tell me it's purely coincidence that 99% of them have women who can pass the brown paper bag test. Our dark-skinned sisters are not in short supply. We are simply overlooking them. And I'll tell you this, and I'll be quiet. For a long time, I said I would only marry a dark-skinned sister because I saw how they got overlooked. And working in the schools, I saw how the chocolate girls were always the last to be approached. So I said, I'm going to marry a chocolate queen and put the chocolate women back on the map. And then I had to sit down one day. And I said, if you do that, you practicing dark skin supremacy. What if the woman your ancestors is sending you is fair skin, is tan, is brown? You may miss out on the woman you need to complete your mission here on earth because you're now saying that you have a one-track mind that will only date chocolate, but your queen may actually be of another complexion. So I had to check myself because in wanting to defend my chocolate, beautiful African queens, I almost became a chauvinist myself against light-skinned women. And I'm going to put this on Black men. We got to stop worshiping skin color and disrespecting and dismissing our chocolate women.
So because, this is a really great conversation with you because you're a doctor of clinical psychology, and this thing really does get psychological because when I'm thinking about the women I've dated, and even some of the dark-skinned women that have gotten very vulnerable with me, all of them in their honesty have communicated challenges dealing with men, dealing with just different areas of their lives associated with that part of it.
Yes.
And do you find that just overall, the darker skinned women are probably dealing with more insecurity or self-worth issues at scale?
Yes. The light skin supremacy that our beautiful dark skinned sisters have to put up with is an extra layer of pain they carry. But guess what? Although it is worse than what the extremely pale skinned sisters have to deal with, I would say second to the chocolate sisters' trauma around skin color is the pale skin sisters' trauma around skin color. The super light bright queens, they also go through a lot of trauma. It's not as much as the dark. I want to be clear about that, but they go through it. I see it in the schools. The light skinned girl with the green eyes, they got to fight every day. Now the dark skinned one's going to be called ugly African booty scrap, right?
Right.
But the light skinned one, she getting her face scratched out every day. They bite, you understand? Because they assuming because she's light skinned with hazel eyes, she thinks she better when she may not. So if you exist on either extreme of the color continuum within the African queendom, you suffer.
That's true.
If you're a tan and a brown, you safe. But if you are super light bright, super chocolate, you're going to suffer. But without question, the chocolates suffer way more.
And I would say this too. It's another one we don't talk about. Our light-skinned brothers, very, very, very light-skinned brothers, suffer. One of my very closest friends I grew up with, he was one of these brothers. And you'll find that a lot of the very, very light-skinned brothers, because of conditioning, how they're treated growing up, a lot of them feel like they got something to prove.
So you know what?
A lot of them feel like they got to be the baddest.
I just learned this.
They got to be the gangsters. They got to be the thugs. I had my brother D1 up here. D1 is a good brother.
Yes, he is.
We asked, why's your hair locked up? He said, I had to get locked up because growing up, this was how I connected to my blackness. People had to know I was black by looking at my hair, my locks. So that was
now the blackness is a little bit different from the masculinity, though.
Yes,
right.
That is.
So separate them out.
That is.
But you're saying even in terms of the masculinity, in terms of him being able to assert himself as a man, he felt, or light-skinned brothers can feel, that they are sometimes treated like they ain't got enough swag because they're light-skinned.
Absolutely.
I just heard this for the first time a couple months ago, and I never heard it before that, but brothers told me that. I never knew that. That people thought light-skinned guys
were weaker
soft. Because when I look back in middle school and high school, a lot of the bullies were light-skinned. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I didn't know that the light-skinned brothers felt that they were kind of viewed as soft. I never saw it.
That's a running light skin.
But I did hear this.
Yeah.
Now you're a lighter brother. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Running light skin thing, like, oh, you acting light skin.
Yeah, that's a thing.
That's light skin behavior. Yeah.
Okay.
And you get that from women and men.
But that's with the colorism.
Yeah,
I've heard that. But what about your masculinity? Growing up, did you feel that you were viewed as softer or weaker because you were lighter? Do you feel your gangster was tested more because you were light?
Not me specifically,
but you've seen it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Maybe even somebody was it's funny because it depends on who's lightest.
Let me tell you when it really hit me. I don't know how long y'all been following me, but if you go back to 2016, 2017, me and the good brother Cyrus Suit and Seti had a beef. Shout out to Cyrus Suit and Seti. He is RBG, so I respect the brother. And I did my little rant in Detroit with my Phillies hat, my classic Seti rant. And I called him albino because I'm going in on him.
Right.
I don't do light skin supremacy. My father's as light as Seti. You feel me?
Yeah.
So it wasn't about that. I'm just going in on him. And I started getting hit up by all these light skinned Africans, men, women, elders like Dr. Umar. You got to take that back. You can't say that, because a lot of us struggle. I didn't know.
Yeah.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Because there was a light skin privilege in society, I overlooked the fact that although this may count more in the white world, it can be a detriment in the black community. You see that? So I had to check myself on that. So shout out to all my light-skinned folks, and apologies to those I might have offended a couple years ago. That's almost 9 years ago. 17, 18, 19, 21, 2, 3, 7 years ago with the SETI comment about him being albino. So shout out to my light-skinned Africans and my albino Africans. Okay, we all one family.
There we go. Much love. And now let me ask this question here, because I think this is a very important part of our platform. We've brought a lot of people up from the Christian background.
Okay.
We brought people up from Muslim backgrounds.
Okay.
And I truly do, because we talk about all aspects of relationships, and your spiritual belief systems are connected to your value systems. I believe
they are.
That's why those spiritual leaders, bringing them up, are vitally important.
True.
Are prominent and can bring some real game to the conversation.
True.
But see, I want to talk to you in particular about the Black church in general.
Okay.
Because I know you've had some, perspectives and opinions about it. Just in general, as far as the Black church and the role that it's currently played in where we are economically, relationally, with our families, do you feel like it should have, or it has played the role that it should have played?
Not since the assassination of Dr. King. After Dr. King was assassinated and buried a few days later here in Atlanta, Georgia, the Black church, out of fear, retreated from the front lines of the struggle, and it reinvented itself away from being an organization of agitation to an organization of accommodation. Now the Black church accommodates the agenda the white power structure has for us. Before we fought. Now, let's go have a cup of tea with the president. Let's go have a cup of tea with the government and see if we can get a couple crumbs from what he's about to do, although what he's about to do is going to destroy our community. You see that? There's no more fight in the Black church. The Black church is more parasitic and exploitative of the Black community than the Chinese stop and go, than the Latino bodega. The difference between the Latino bodega and the Chinese stop and go and the Walmart and every place else we shop is at least you get something for your money. What do you get back from the Black church when you invest? We give the Black church $3 million every Sunday collectively in this country. Show me a Black church with a supermarket for the people. Show me a Black church with a bank for the people. Show me a Black church with a manufacturing and distribution network to hire our men and women. Show me a Black church with a Black school that children who are not Christian or Muslim or Hebrew can go to.
But is that the responsibility of the church, though?
It was historically. Why did it change? The Black church was the one-stop shop for us from the time we showed up in America. We buried our dead through the church. We got hired through the church. We fought the KKK through the church. We did our politics through the church. Everything you needed was in the Black church. So it made sense for you to spend all your time at the church because the church was everything. They still want us to spend all our time at the church. And what are they doing for us? No institutions. $3 million a Sunday and no institutions? That's highway robbery. If you really care about doing the Lord's work, why are you so comfortable with your people living in hell?
That's interesting, because I think that's a lot of pressure to put on the Black church.
And I only put it on churches who have a net income of $250,000 a year. If you're bringing in less than $250,000 a year, I will accept you doing some good for the community, but I'm not expecting you to build a bank, a school, a hospital, or a supermarket. But if you netting $250,000, and if you a mega church, Creflo Dollar, TD Jakes, if you a mega church and you ain't got no institutions for the Black community, come on, man, you're an exploiter.
So what's the ideal? Give me the ideal picture that you would like to see, even let's say a mega church.
I would like
play in the community.
I would like the mega church to have a Black Wall Street. And what I mean by that is those 4 institutions: a clinic for the people, whether they're Christian or not, they Black. A school for the children, whether they're Christian or not, they Black. A supermarket to feed our people fresh food coming from the Black farmers. Okay. And also a bank to invest in our people so we can get this entrepreneurial spirit up, because there's no jobs left in America. We have to help Black people create jobs for themselves. We have to become Black America is going to have to go full-time entrepreneur.
Wow.
No more jobs. They're giving everything to the migrants. The migrants are in America to replace the Africans. This is the purge. Absolutely.
Do they have a role and a hand in the outcome of where we are as far as our families are concerned?
Who?
The church.
I would say yes, and I'm going to tell you why. The black church caters to the black woman. And the reason the black church caters to the black woman is because the black woman is the provider. She has more income and education than the man. So they're looking at this financially. They also have a vested interest in her never getting married.
Whoa.
The pastor is the metaphorical husband of all the single women in the community. I'm not saying he's sleeping with them. I'm saying he's keeping them so distracted with Jesus that they never find a husband. And that's the way he wants it to stay. Because if she finds a husband, she won't have as much time to be donating to the church all the time. Wow. So the black church benefits from single motherhood. They don't want our sisters married because their pockets would go down.
Is this all church or just the black church?
Well, there's always exceptions. Well, I don't care about the white church because that I'm not thinking about that.
Right, just throw that out.
Fanning it out.
Us. I'm talking about us. It's not every church. There's exceptions to every rule. I know good black pastors. I know good black churches. I speak in black churches all the time. But exceptions don't negate the rule, though. You find a snake that don't bite. That does not negate the fact that most snakes are going to tear your ass up if they get a chance to. You feel me?
I got you.
And most black churches are exploitative and do not serve the needs of the community. How your church is in the middle of a ghetto with all these problems we got, and you're not addressing a single one of them. Black church takes 3 things from black people we can't afford to waste: too much damn time, too much damn money, and too much damn hope. We don't need hope. We need an agenda for change. Now, I want to bring this talk back to the relationship. This is for my black sisters out there, brothers too, but especially sisters. You hear sisters say all the time, I'm a born-again Christian. My husband need to be a born-again Christian. I'm a Hebrew. My husband need to be a Hebrew. I'm a Muslim. My husband need to be Muslim. I'm a Rasta. My husband need to be, excuse me. Do you sisters realize you have slim pickings in these streets? You already got a small available pool of heterosexual men. You're going to reduce it even further by demanding they be of the same religious doctrine? That's insane. If a sister is going to say, my husband got to be a Jehovah's Witness like me, you only had about 2 or 3 men you can marry anyway. Now you ain't got one. So I just think black women need to rethink 2 things. 2 things. Number 1, this idea that I should not get married until I finish all my collegiate studies.
Oh, that's a big one.
Getting married after they done college is the reason why a lot of our sisters are not getting married and are not having babies. Because they're putting off the marriage. Because, you know, good Christian girl, my daddy and mommy put me through college. I'm going to finish law school first. I'm going to finish med school first. I'm going to get my master. I'm going to become a social worker. I'm going to get my license. Then I'm going to look for a husband. Only problem is, sweetheart, you're not going to be done all this till you about 35.
And now you're freezing eggs.
You see what I'm saying?
I get exactly what you're saying.
Your biological clock is ticking, which is going to often lead to you presenting yourself to available men as somewhat thirsty because you're not going to be able to hide the fact you know you're aware of your clock ticking, which is going to end up leading to you possibly never getting married. Black women have to stop putting off family for career because they don't have as many options as their counterparts, the whites, the reds, the yellows, and the browns. That's one thing black women need to rethink, putting it off until completion of college. Number 2, looking for a man who has to be the same religion. That's another mistake. You're narrowing it down too much. You mean, listen, I'm a Pan-Africanist, so we believe in religious freedom, right? I don't care if my wife is a Rasta, Hebrew, it don't matter to me. As long as you are rooted in God, that's what matters. We're serving the same supreme being. That's what matters, not the dogma in the doctrine. So black woman, you're telling me you would risk losing out on a good man because he does not approach God's science the way you do?
Let's drop that poll, by the way. I want to see how many ladies.
That's definitely my
We're going to
take.
drop a poll.
That's a good one.
Let's see how many ladies are willing to date a man that is not of the same religion. And that's actually a good point, because let's actually coach on that, because I've had people come on here and say you never do it. I have people that come up on here and say that you better be open to it.
Look at your situation. We are in a state of crisis. So black women and black men got to understand decisions you would have normally made another way. You have to look at them differently now because of your options. I'm going to give you another mistake black women make. So 1 is postponing marriage and childbirth to after college. 2, demanding that your husband be of the same religious persuasion. And you know what the 3rd one is?
What's that?
Wanting black men to come to the relationship table having already achieved success. One of the biggest advantages the snow bunnies have on our women is snow bunnies will find a dusty brother and see his skill, his talent, you feel me?
Yeah.
Invest in him in college. And by the time he become a multimillionaire at 35, she been with him the whole walk. You see that? A lot of sisters are not going to do that. They're not going to find a dusty brother in his senior year or dusty brother in the community. But you see, he got this business idea. She like, nah, come back and see me when it's up and running. I don't think this ever going to happen. Soon when you waved him off, the snow bunny got him. The snow bunny invested in him. You feel me? 10 years later, the same brother see you trying to holler. He got the white girl. Now you dissing him. You saying they all want white girls. Nah, he came to you. You said you want a ready-made black man. You don't want a work in progress. And I'm telling black women, y'all better start going for some of these works in progress instead of waiting for us to finish the job, because you losing to the snow bunny when you tell us to wait until we got the bag.
You know, you gotta know how to analyze that stock.
You got to.
You gotta know when that stock gonna rise.
Yo,
right?
3,100 people in the chat. The niches is going crazy right now. Dr. Umar Johnson is blazing the mic right now. What we got right there, Lono?
Get the TV back up.
Yeah, check this out. The poll just dropped, guys. So I'm gonna read this poll real quick. This was a good poll.
Yes,
and I want to ask something real quick. I want to bring something in real quick after you drop that poll.
Are you willing to marry a man that's outside of your religion? And fellas, tap into this one too. Are you willing to marry a woman that's outside of your religion? So far, we got over 400 votes, so it's going crazy. And I'm not even gonna tell you where it's at. I'm gonna just.
I don't even want to know.
I'm not even gonna tell you where it's at right now.
But Dr. Umar, here's what I want you to break down for the people, because for somebody who feels like you cannot, how do I assess that I am aligned with somebody and can have a good value? You know, we on the same value page and system with this person with a completely different religion.
Observation always beats information. So I'm not asking my woman if she shares the same values I have. I'm observing her closely. I'm looking for the gaps in what you say versus what you do. You got to make sure you're studying the person. And guess what? Our women are so used to us not studying them and being particular about their likes and dislikes. One of the best things you can do for a black woman is let her know you know things about her she never told you. You feel me?
Yeah.
I know your favorite color.
They like that.
You feel me?
Yeah.
They want to know that you actually paying attention to me, because one of the weaknesses we make, fellas, we hustle so much because so many black men are unemployed, right? Half the black men in Atlanta are unemployed, Philly, Brooklyn, you name it. When we can earn the bag, sometimes we get so arrogant and egotistical with the fact that we can earn that we think that's all we got to do. One of the quickest ways for your woman to tiptoe act out the back door on your ass is for you not to spend quality time with her because you provided her with all the material likings that she desires. She needs time. Remember, men cheat for sex and comfort. Women cheat for attention and understanding. It may lead to the bedroom, but that ain't why she saw it.
Run those back. Run those back. I want to hear that. I want to hear that.
Men cheat for sex and comfort.
Okay.
Women cheat for attention and understanding. They want someone to understand them. That's why when our women cheat, we hurt more, because we know if she spread them thighs, she felt him.
Yeah.
When we cheat, she may be hurt, but not as much. Because with us, it could be more superficial. She was 5'5" thick in the thighs. I just had to hit that. You see that?
Right.
Slayer. But when she spread them thighs, you know she had a connection with that man. And that's why we got to make sure we putting time in, because I'm seeing too many brothers. Oh, yeah, I bought her the Benz. We got the big house, 2 pools. I just took her to Vegas. But outside of that, you ain't putting no time in. And guess what? She gonna end up spending time with a guy who ain't got half of what you got. Because for a woman, although, yeah, they can be materialistic, they like the physical things you can provide them with, but at the end of the day, she's still a woman and she needs a man who can pour into her soul. If you cannot pour into that woman's soul, she will leave you.
So to answer that question, how do I go about observing whether or not, or how do I go about knowing? I got to study this.
You got to study them and the family. See, my thing is, who raised you? I want to spend time. I'm not even letting her. I'm going to find out who raised. Once she tell me my mom was a single mom, I'm coming to tell mom I'm coming over here for dinner. I'm playing it off. I like the food, but I need to hear what come out your mouth because I need to know what core values she raised you with. Because see, that's another thing we ignore about people. When you study them, you got to look for the core values. For example, I don't value materialism. So if I meet a sister who got to have the Louis bag, the Balenciaga heels, it's a turn off because I'm not into that. Even if I can provide her with that, I don't want to do that. You know why? We got homeless kids out here. We got mothers on the street. I can't afford to be giving you all this when some of this need to be going to the struggle and to the community. So you got to look at what people core believe. Some people fundamentally believe I'm nobody without these expensive things.
Yeah.
Are you sure this is who you want raising your children? Because another mistake we make as men is we would like the woman for ourselves and never say, is that the kind of mother you want for your son? Is that the kind of mother you want for your daughter? Do you want your daughter being raised on blind weaves and expensive shoes? You see that?
Yeah.
And a lot of times we don't look at that till she get pregnant. And then be like, oh shit, I'm gonna have a ghetto baby. You know what I mean? Tattoos and booty shaking. We are too quick to go for the physical and not study as to whether or not this is a woman we want around for the long term.
Let's close out that poll. Where we at on that poll? Because I want to see what the people thinking.
Let me check it out real quick. I'm gonna close it out. All right. Are you willing to marry a man that's outside of your religion? We got over 630 votes. It's going 700. 61% of people say no.
No what?
They are not willing to marry outside of their religion.
I'm not sure they're being completely honest. I'm gonna tell you why. I've seen sisters who say they wouldn't date outside the religion. And when they were propositioned by a brother who wasn't of the religion
or had no religion,
you think they said no?
And he was that dude.
You think they said no?
Yeah, that's cap.
That's cap.
That's cap.
That's
100%.
That's
100%. It sounds good.
Right.
That's cap.
It's a lot of sex going on, and there's a lot of people that's just not religious at all. So I would consider not religious outside of your religion.
Absolutely. Indeed. No, 100%.
Over 700 votes too, by the way. Just close that.
They got to have God in their life, but dictating a person's doctrine as a condition for marriage, for me, is short-minded, short-sighted, especially for where we are as a people.
Wow.
Man.
I got a super chat came up real quick.
Let's take that.
So if you didn't, shout out to I think Malika or Malika Love. Shout out to Miss Love. All right, Miss Love, we love you. So if you didn't get your needs met as a child and our partners can't help with that, how do we meet those needs on our own? You mentioned getting a father figure or mother figure as a young adult. How would you go about finding that?
You ask. For example, I was raised Muslim. In Islam, when a woman comes to the age where she's ready to date, if there's no men in her father to serve as her chaperone, she will find one, or the brothers in the masjid will find her one. Same thing in African culture. Your uncles will be that person you need.
Yeah.
The problem is in the Black community, we so disorganized that women may have to go out and find them for themselves. I've had young sisters approach me, Dr. Umar, I don't have that man that I need in my life to back me up and talk to me and give me a hug when I need one and not want nothing from me. And I say, sure, I'll be that for you, good sister. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Because they need that. All of us as men should have young ladies of adult age who we want nothing from except their best life. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because there's too many of them out there with no type of fatherly direction at all. And I think because we know women love looking sexy, I think sometimes as men, we forget that women also have to bear the burden of always having to look sexy, meaning we are often valuing our women for what they look like and not for who they are. I saw a clip on Instagram the other day. It was Eartha Kitt, the great Black actor. Mm-hmm. And she said, I met all these men. All they wanted to do was lay me down. And it wasn't until I found this one man who was willing to help stand me up. And he didn't want what was between my legs. So we gotta be very conscious as Black men of sexual oppression. So I go out of my way now when I'm around sisters to send them no sexual energy. She might be fine as hell, but I'm not gonna look at her ass. I need her to know I ain't here for that. You feel me? Because our sisters are so used to it that they lead with it. And if we want them to stop leading with it, we got to stop paying so much attention to it, because at the end of the day, as much as Black women may sexually objectify themselves, they really don't want to do it. They do it because we have made it clear to them that this is the only way you can get one of us.
You know, that's really maturity. I was talking to Ryan about that, about, you know, being able to understand how to change your energy around women. Because me personally, I've always been somebody, you know, probably call me quintessential a player back in the day, just like having, you know, options, like having ladies. And now that I'm looking to transition and, you know, into my empire building stage with one woman, now how I approach and even the small things, the slick comments I make, the way I stand, move, body language around women, it all has to, I'm retraining myself.
Likewise.
And how I think and how I move.
Yes.
Because even just as, especially figures that's, you know, in the public eye, a woman is probably, you know, one of your greatest assets, and also one of the greatest things to take you down.
Absolutely.
As well.
Absolutely. Got to pick a right.
Got to pick a right.
And we have to also recognize too, brothers, that you're going to have to go through some of your self-imposed karma on the way to finding your queen.
Oh, that's what we don't want to hear that.
I know. We
don't want to hear that.
You may have to get hurt once or twice.
Wow.
On this path. Let me just be real. You're probably going to have happen to you what you've done to a woman.
That's not good. That's not good.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Because that's the way the universe works. So the universe is glad you on your path to finding your one and only queen. But guess what? The universe also has to give you back some of what you put out. And you have to be focused enough not to get discouraged when you start experiencing some of the stuff you made women experience.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
And a lot of us, our karma is going to get us through our daughters.
Oh.
They're going to be done by men the way we did women. So get ready for it. The sooner you stop your bullshit, the sooner your karmic cycle can stop hitting you up.
That's the worst kind of karma to get right there. Coming to the little girl.
Yeah.
Your baby. Yeah. And I know, listen, and that does happen because I got one of my most savage uncles, of all time. He got blessed with 5 daughters.
Incredible.
See?
Incredible.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
5 of them.
Whoa.
And I'm like, we all looking at him like, you know what happened. You know what happened, brother. So, you know, it is what it is, man.
How you feeling right now? We done with the hotline or what?
Man, the initiation hotline is we still got people backstage.
Yeah.
Let's let some people up. We're gonna let y'all come up and ask our questions. Y'all been patiently sitting back here. Man, let me give MJ another try, man. We brought MJ up. She wasn't ready. MJ, you ready to come back up to the stage, sweetheart? You ready? Unmute your mic.
MJ.
Unmute your mic, MJ.
Unmute your
mic. Here I am. I was getting ready.
Turn that volume down a little bit. Turn that volume down.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have earphones on. How's that?
What up, MJ? If you can't, give me your age, your location, and move into your question.
Okay, so I'm 46 and I live in the Atlanta area. I'm actually a transplant from California. So I guess I'm just going to take it back to the question you asked about whether or not was it agreeing with interracial relationships or not.
Right.
So personally, I don't agree with them because, and my rationale about it is that in order for a Black person to be in a relationship, male or female, with an individual in another race, they have to be less than who they are as a Black person. They have to like dumb down their Blackness to make that other race comfortable. And I've seen that so many times, Candace Owens. But so I personally don't think it's healthy or the necessary, the right thing. Because of that, I don't think you should ever start off a relationship being less than who you are in order to have what you would think of be a successful relationship. So I just wanted to comment on that regard. And also, I mean, like I said, I'm 46. I've never been married, no kids, but I'm a firm believer in he who finds a wife finds a good thing. So at the same time, I haven't been out there doing anything for whoever the Most High has for me to find me. And that includes being less than who I need to be in order to meet that person that the Most High has for me. So that's all I wanted to say. And Dr. Umar, huge fan. So glad to be in the same space with you right now.
And you're doing the right thing, sister, because often your gift of a mate is often preceded by a time of extreme loneliness.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why a lot of us never find the person we want is we're too distracted by people we know we don't need.
Right. And so, yes.
You look at your lady friends. If I look at the brothers I know who want to find a good woman,
Yeah.
but they got 3 or 4 who they know are not what they need, but they will not release them back to the universe.
Right.
And until they release them back to the universe, their ancestors are not going to send them the woman that they need, because if she comes at the wrong time, he will hurt her and she will have to flee him.
Right.
So we have to be ready for what we need. It's not just about wanting it. You got to be ready for it.
Prepared. Right. Exactly. So
That's
I
a
totally
fact.
agree. Definitely agree. So,
thank you so much for coming up here, sweetheart. I appreciate you coming and sharing with us. Okay.
All right. Now enjoy the show. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Dr. Umar.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. She was excited.
First of all, that's a fact. I told my lady, look, the young lady I'm dating now, I said, listen, thank God you ain't meet me 3 years ago. Thank God the timing is where it is supposed to be, because that maturity has to happen. That mindset shift, all those things have to be aligned, you know, for it to go down, which is why you talk about that, man. When you was talking about that age, that psychological age, at the position that we in, a part of breaking the curse and a part of catching up right now, we have to mature faster than we probably traditionally would. That's what we're tasked with. We're tasked with our psychological age to be well ahead of our biological age in order for us to advance and to progress, so we can make mature decisions, so we could build something.
Absolutely. And another point too, gentlemen, on this issue of black male-female relationships, we got to deal with the spiritual vampire issue. So as I said earlier, a lot of us use relationships as a drug to distract us from the problems we don't want to solve going on in ourselves. So that means all through Atlanta, you got men and women who are very unhealthy, looking for love. They can't find it because the trauma blocking it. But they will come into your life and fuck your life up because they didn't want to fix their own. And then blame you for why they unhappy when they were miserable before they met you. I'm bringing this up because there's a certain type of a spiritual vampire we got to deal with in the black community. And that's the domestically abusive black man. We got too many black men beating on our sisters. And now, right now, we got a campaign of black men killing our sisters, killing them. We never did this before. We doing it now. So I want to make a plea to all black men. If you know you got demons in your closet, unmet childhood needs, issues, rape, abuse, molestation, abandonment, please find somebody to help you process your shit. Because if you don't, especially if your issues revolve around your mother, sooner or later, the woman in your life is going to objectify to the mother you hate, and you're going to hurt her. And I need women to understand, you cannot heal a domestic abuser. I don't know why black women keep on thinking I can love him out of kicking my ass. It'll never happen. If a man hits you once, he's going to hit you again. And going back to the black church, and forgive me for pointing, brother.
No, you good. You good.
That's my thing. Forgive me.
No, you good.
The black church has not done enough to deal with domestic abuse. And we know that a lot of these abusers are church-going men. Domestic abuse is one of the elephants in the room in the black community. And I don't see any serious or major black organizations, including the church and the masjid, doing anything about domestic abuse of our sisters by their men.
We've had conversations about that. We've had whole episodes on domestic violence, because you 100% right. And you know, the ladies, man, shout out to the initiates, man, because they've came out and told us some things that are very shocking. But the interesting thing about those brothers is they know who they can get away with.
We know we know the risk factors.
Yeah.
Fatherlessness, brotherlessness, lonely women, thirsty women who feel like they gotta have a man. And to my women, my mothers, you have to raise your daughters to be willing to trust a man, but at the same time, knowing how to conduct herself as a lady. Because too many of our girls are seeing their mothers thirst for a partner. And so mommy is coming home with anybody just because she needs somebody in her bed, not for sex. It's for that loneliness, you see. which is really a cry from the spirit that there's some issues that need to be addressed, but you think it means you just got to get a man in the house, and your daughter is watching you practice no discernment with the men you bring into your home, and she's likely to replicate the same behavior pattern. We need first of all, nobody should be meeting your children anyway, unless you're pretty sure this is going somewhere. You don't bring men home on the first date. You don't bring a woman home on the first date. Your children should have only seen 1 or 2 people you've ever dated, because those are the only 2 or 3 people you ever thought something could get serious with. I think we're introducing strangers to our children well before we have properly vetted them and decided if they may occupy a permanent place in our lives.
When is the right time, though? Because that question comes up a lot. A lot of young ladies dating a single mom. So when does or is the right time to introduce someone into your child's life?
When you feel that this man or this woman and you are moving towards something serious, and you feel pretty certain that it's going to be happening soon. You see what I'm saying? Now,
and it's not even you feel, though. Y'all should have had conversations.
I agree. Yes.
About what the hell is going on at this point.
And now that you said that, you brought up another issue: child rearing. When y'all decide to co-parent each other's non-biological children, you better have a conversation, because that can destroy your marriage. You ever date a sister who had a spoiled ass son who disrespected her on the regular? And you're sitting there and this little ninja is talking to his mother like she's and you're like, I can't allow this. And she like, that's not your son. And I'm like, I understand, but you're still a black woman, whether we dating or not. And if we're going to take this further, I got the checking. I'm not saying I got to put my hands on him, but I cannot. He won't respect me if I let him dog you like that. And guess what? That's another reason a lot of good black women have lost out on good black men, because they were so protective of their sons that they couldn't stand to see a non-biological father check their son, and they lost out on the husband. So I'm telling you, sisters, now get your sons in order, because a real man cannot stand by and let you get disrespected by your son only for you to turn around and tell him it ain't your place to say nothing. Well, if it ain't my place to say nothing, it ain't my place to even be in your life. I'm out, because I'm not putting up with this.
Facts.
Absolutely not, man. Absolutely not. I've even seen, I have a very good friend, close friend of mine, and I keep his name anonymous, but in particular, he's going through something right now, a divorce in particular. And he assumed at the beginning of the marriage a child where he was not the biological father. And all throughout, he communicated that, there would be times where, when it came down to it, especially in the area of discipline.
Yes.
Because that's where it exposed where he stood in that child's life and what his position was. Even though he was the father in the time spent, the energy and everything that he poured in, he communicated like deep distress that it hurt his soul when he was put in his place as the stepfather, when it was time for him to put the child in their place.
And to that point, if ladies, if you feel you need to check your significant other over how they're disciplining your son, don't ever do it in the presence of the children. Step into another room, excuse yourself. Don't ever emasculate a man in front of your children. He may have been wrong with the way he engaged your son or daughter, but you cannot chastise him in front of the children. You have to step away and handle that type of energy. I'm going to tell you something right now. Take me, right? If I marry a queen who got children.
Are you open to that?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Because I don't have no sons, no biological sons.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I'm definitely open to a queen having children. But guess what? I am a stickler for academics. Do you feel me?
Absolutely.
So if I get with a queen who's lazy on the homework and lazy on the commitment to the education, we're going to have a long talk. Either you're going to let me take this plate. I'm going to do the education thing in the house, because ain't no child in here going to be on no ADHD medicine, no IEPs, no learning. You understand? We're not doing that in my house. So she got to know that when it come down to the books, I'm going to be on them. And she got to be comfortable with that. Because if you ain't comfortable with me getting on with the academics, ain't no need for us to move in together. There's no way I'm going to let a academically lazy ass child lay their head in my house. And we got to know that about ourselves. We got to tell women, and women got to tell men, I'm a stickler for this. This is one of my hangups here. Like a woman might tell you, I'm a clean freak. Some women are clean freaks. And ain't nothing wrong with that if you're not OCD. Because I'm going to tell you right now, sisters, if you OCD, men tend not to be OCD. Women do. It's hard for an OCD woman to keep a man. Because most men have trouble living in a house where you're not allowed to breathe or something might get dirty. You feel me? Can't take your shoes off. Can't take your socks off. Like some women are so OCD that you feel like you in a prison or boot camp or something. So sisters got to work on the OCD. And you know what OCD come from? That's the intent to over control your environment because you have no control over yourself.
Whoa.
Yes.
That I did not know.
Whoa.
Damn.
So OCD, because
obsessive compulsive.
I used to crack a joke, like you'd be like, I kind of like that. I like to walk into a sister's spot and it smell like
Extra
candles
clean.
and what I'm saying?
No, that's cool.
Bath and body.
That's cool. But is it to the point where you can't really relax? Because she's so, in other words, you can't lay on the couch. You got to wash the dish off soon when you put it in the sink. To the point where you don't want to touch nothing, use nothing.
Or y'all come home from a date and she want to mop the floor before y'all go to bed.
Boom.
Like
boom.
They can't even function.
No, I get it.
Boom.
I get at that point, you're not at peace.
Right, and on the flip side, OCD is a personality disorder, right? Obsessive compulsive person. OCPD. You can have OCD regular or OCPD. But brothers, we got to be careful about the narcissism. We can be narcissistic.
And the ladies, that's
their
favorite word.
A lot of black men have I'm God's gift to the world syndrome, and it turns a lot of sisters off. We got to get the narcissism thing under control. And we tend to be bigger narcissists than the Caucasians. You know why? We had to work harder to get where we are. So we tend to feel entitled to our grandiosity. And it throws a lot of black women off. And some men are not looking for a partner. They don't want feedback. They just want to tell the woman what to do and how to do it. That's slavery. That's not a relationship. And a lot of sisters can't put up with that. We need to work on our narcissism. We definitely need to work on our narcissism.
Okay. No, that make a lot of sense. Yo, we got some super chats that came in. Let's read those real quick.
Yeah,
Ryan.
we got a bunch of super chats. So I'm gonna kind of mix them and match them. So let's go with Nona first. Or no, Norjan. Nora says, what about us ladies who have been single and celibate for years and seriously losing interest in dating at all?
No woman loses interest in having a man. You might get tired of the dating game, but you never lose interest in having a man. Here's 3 things I say to women who say they can't find a good man. Number 1, where are you looking? Because if the club is the primary environment where you're looking for a good guy, you're in the wrong spot. Number 2, where are you not looking? Have you been to the university lectures? Have you been to any of the political debates? Have you been to any of the investment club meetings? If you want to meet a man who's about something, put yourself in an environment where people are about something. It's amazing how many women looking for a good man at the swap meet, on the cruise. He ain't on the cruise to meet a wife. He's on the cruise to clap cheeks.
Slayer.
Okay. So sisters got to stop trying to find the right guy in the wrong environment. And the third thing I would say to black women, are you too self-guarded that you pushing men away who would have normally approached you had it not been for this energy of don't talk to me? And guess what? A lot of single women give off an energy of don't talk to me because they're not conscious of how guarded they are about being hurt. She don't even realize she's repelling men. She's repelling them because she's so afraid of getting hurt that sends out a nonverbal signal to me that she might already be taken. Don't even look there. Sisters have to work on their nonverbal behavior.
Wow.
3-step formula for you. Wait a listen.
I'm telling you,
she's
everything.
taken care of.
Shout out to I think this is Duwade Do. She says, are we sure that we want to promote polygamy under the current conditions in the community? What about promoting the practice of sexual discipline? She then goes to mention 1 in 5 people have an STD, and most of us will absolutely not share.
Okay, couple of things. Number one, polygyny does not mean the absence of sexual discipline. I would even argue that it promotes sexual discipline because it makes men accountable for all the undercover relationships that they're not claiming in public.
Ooh.
I don't need a woman's relationship to have sex with multiple women. We can do that in Atlanta.
Yeah.
If I'm telling you I want plural marriage, I'm telling you I want to be responsible and accountable to y'all. Otherwise, I could stay a serial monogamous for life. Who's stopping you from being a serial monogamous? Nobody. Who's stopping you from being a serial monogamous?
Not a person.
Nobody. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So serial monogamy does not require approval. If I'm saying polygyny, I'm saying I want these two women to come together and meet and see if they can work with me so we can build. And if we look at this economically, if we're trying to fast track black people, because you know the black-white wealth gap like this, if we want to close the black-white wealth gap, take any emotions out, you got to go polygyny. 3 incomes is better than 2. Do you feel me? If you really looking at this from an economic empowerment perspective, polygyny is the way to go economically. Now, the reason why sisters can't share has nothing to do with being a woman. Because in Africa, they share. In the Caribbean, they share. Black America can't share. Do you want to know why?
Why is that?
The biggest reason polygyny cannot work right now in Black America is not the men. Women are in a competition with each other. Black women have a worse relationship than black men. And because of that petty, catty, comparing their hair, comparing their body, comparing their clothes, comparing their job, comparing their car, they compare and compete with each other more than we do. So you mean to tell me the same sister I'm trying to outdo, I got to work with her so we can share you? I'm out. She wants to outdo her. She don't want to cooperate with her. Polygyny is communal cooperation between queens. If you competing with black women, how are you going to cooperate? And I tell you another reason why sisters got to at least have the conversation. Because let me be clear. I'm not saying sisters got to accept polygyny forever. It could be temporary. The next 10 years, the next 20 years, till we get out this shit. I'm not saying perpetually. But until we fix this, when black men stop killing other black men because they all got a chance to be successful, then maybe we can stop the polygyny. It's only when there's an imbalance in the male-female ratio. But guess what? Because there's not enough men to go around, sisterhood ain't never been the same. Our sisters' relationship with each other has been impaired by the fact they're competing over the same men. I can't tell you the stories I've heard about sisters taking sisters' husbands, best friend taking best friend husbands.
I've heard that from mom and daughter.
Yes, because it ain't enough to go around. So my thing is this. Here's the eternal question. What are we ultimately doing this for? Are we doing it for ourselves? Or are we doing it for the community? Because if we're doing it for the community, you're going to have to consider polygyny, because on paper, without the emotions, it's one of the best things we can do for some men who can afford to do it in a time-limited fashion. But I agree with what she said, though. I do believe black men have sexually objectified black women so much that I think a lot of us would try to abuse the polygyny. And for that reason, we would need a council of elders. We're not doing this on our own. There's a council of elders that oversee all plural marriages, who will supervise them, counsel them, guide them. We will look to elders who are already in plural relationships to help us do this thing the right way. Here's the reality. This is the one thing I disagree with the sisters on. I understand their sentiment when they talk about polygyny and how it can be abused, right?
Right.
Here's where I disagree. They say, why don't we just practice celibacy and monogamy until we get our act together as Black America? Who you know is waiting to have sex until Black America gets his act together?
Right. Not one person.
You see how unrealistic? See, that is the type of unrealistic suggestions that could put out there. It's not realistic. Guess what? The sister without a man, she's not even waiting to find a single man. She gonna co-opt the married man behind the married woman's back until she find a man. You see what I'm saying? So we got to be honest. Nobody's hormones is waiting for the community to rebuild itself. So we got to deal with reality as it is. And the older women get, the higher their sexual appetite go. So you mean to tell me you got all these 35 to 55-year-old sisters who on fire, and they going to go straight celibate until the black community fixes itself. Do a poll on that shit.
I had a very well-respected therapist come up here, and we told her we was going to do an event. And we said, man, you know, a lot of the problem with a lot of these events in the relationship space is always women, right? Not the fellas. Yeah. And I told her, listen, our goal was to have it 60-40. We wanted to have 40% men. She said, no, Ty, you need to have 50%. I said, why is that? She said, because when there's not enough men in the room, the nature of the women in the room start to change. I said, what? I said, what do you mean by that? And this is a woman, by the way. She's a woman. And she's like, Ty, you don't put enough men in the room, you're going to see all the women will compete. All of a sudden, they will not be as collaborative in talking to each other.
What I just say.
They'll be more likely to be catty and, you know, group up. And, you know, it won't be the atmosphere, won't be the energy you want if you don't produce that.
It either has to be
in
all
just a
women
room.
or more men than women, she said.
And it's what she communicated, or a perfect balance.
Right.
Because if you do that, none of men ain't happy, right?
Right.
But see, the reality of the situation was that was just an event that we were discussing. Now, when you talk about an entire environment, an ecosystem where there's not enough men, what can be created from that? It makes a lot of sense. Yes. And now you talk about, so when we start talking about, you pretty much called out the Black American, in particular women, having the biggest issue with sharing.
Yes.
Is it just solely because of the numbers being so lopsided? Like, why is the competing? Why is the competing so bad?
Because it ain't enough to go around. It's not enough.
Is that simple?
That's the biggest part. There's other factors, but that's the biggest part. If you are a woman, a Black woman in America right now, and you live in a major city or even rural, you know that there's only one Black man for every 20 of you guys. You see what I'm saying? And it's not a happy set of affairs to have to deal with. And I got to say this to the radical Black feminist queens who are successful. It's not that you're too strong and Black men can't put up with a strong woman. A lot of you are too nasty and condescending. Some women want men to worship them, like literally. That's why you lonely. They'll say, I'm lonely because I make too much money and he intimidated. I got too much education and he intimidated. That's true for a lot of men. But for the men who make the same money and got the same education, it's not true. We're not messing with you because you're too nasty and arrogant and you want somebody to kiss your ass. And we're not going to do that. So we got narcissism. The sisters got some narcissism they got to handle too, especially the successful sisters. They can have the nose in the air for real. You know, I'm not cooking. What? You're not cooking? And let me tell this to the sisters who don't want to cook.
There's a lot of.
If you are a Black woman who don't want to cook, make sure you and your husband never go to Africa for vacation. Never go to the Caribbean for vacation.
Facts.
And don't go to the deep south of the United States for vacation.
And that's changing.
And that's changing too. It is.
Unfortunately.
It is. But I'm going to say this to you. There's no better way for a woman to steal your man than through his stomach.
Man, that's a fact.
That principle is as old as Moses. And it starts off real simple. Because first of all, women who don't have men are always scheming on how to take yours. The competition. So when a woman knows you don't cook for your man, she start cooking. Hey girl, I made some greens. Get these to Mike.
Oh.
You better toss them damn greens in the trash.
That's one thing. So I don't even understand. I think women really understand that because I would never seriously consider dating a woman that doesn't know how to cook.
Me either.
And it's just it doesn't make sense. Like when you
can't cook, I don't need you.
It don't need them.
But if you think about this, it gets deep. because you talked about the bond that we have as a kid with the opposite sex.
Yes.
And when you think about the bond we developed with our mother, even
Who
as
could
young,
cook,
who put their titty in our
yes,
mouth to feed
yes,
us, to give us life,
yes,
as babies, all the way up until us becoming
yes,
young men, and who
yes,
poured into
yes,
us. The
yes,
meals was one of the
yes,
versions she poured
yes,
into us,
yes,
to give us life.
yes,
That you taking a baton,
yes,
Right.
and now I gotta deal with Chick-fil-A.
right. And see, here's where the pretty women lose. The fine sisters, this is where they get their heart broke. When they find out they man left them or is dipping on them with a woman who don't look half as good.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Self-esteem, she don't look nothing like she. You know how she got him? She catered to his ego. She looked at what you would not do and she did it. It is not hard for an unattractive woman to get an attractive woman's man. And any man to tell you when the lights off, everything's even. Click it again. Click it again. Yeah. When the lights are off, okay, that unattractive woman might got skills and talents that you ain't even thought about having. And this is why the full-figured sisters don't be sweating the pretty girls. The average sisters don't be sweating them, because they know you ain't doing for him what I can do for him. So you giving Mike the sweet potatoes, Mike the potato salad, Mike the grilled salmon, Mike the jerk wings, Mike the turkey legs, and then one day Mike might come home and you ain't home yet. And Miss Vanessa made some pineapple upside down cake. And Miss Vanessa said, Mike, you would have come get a slice of this pineapple upside down cake. And by the time you get home, he got Vanessa upside down in the pineapple upside down cake. Slaying. If your man, now some sisters get lucky because they get a man who cook. Now, sisters, if you lucky enough to get a man who cook, you good, because your man cooks. But if you are dating a man who's looking for his wife to be the chef, you better learn some recipes. I'm telling you. Every man has dated a woman who you otherwise would not have looked at.
Yep.
Until you ate her food. And once you ate that mac and cheese, she looked completely different. You was like, maybe that is Beyonce.
right. The people laughing at this,
the
but it's facts.
Power of food is no joke.
And it's deep.
It's no.
I mean, it's nothing that we need that's gonna go a part of our day more than food, than a good meal.
Man.
It's nothing more important.
It's nothing more important.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
And it shows that she values you. It's psychological. It's sexual. The two strongest cravings of a man is sex and hunger. There's no getting away from that. Your stomach is right over your reproductive system. They're related. Like you said, the mother has our titty in our mouth, without us getting into too much Sigmund Freud, because that's his whole thing. You know? But yeah, the mom had the titty in the mouth. So it is sexual with the food.
Right.
Because she's fulfilling a need, a basic
appetite.
human need, an appetite. Now, let me say this, because a sister just said, food can't keep a man. Let me say this to Black women. There's nothing you can do that will make a man not leave you if he wants out. But there are things, when done well, he will rethink that decision to leave you 100 times over. Because not every woman is made the same. Not in the kitchen, not in the bedroom. You get sisters who say things like, a coochie is a coochie. No, it's not. No, it's not. Some coochies got gold in it, platinum in it. Some coochies could do backflips, others can't. It's important that women know that, though, because they think as long as it's a no, and we all know women are different, just like we're different. And sisters need to know that. But bigger than sex, though, bigger than sex, I think sisters need to make sure we pay more attention to them than their vagina. And they can do that by delaying our access to the vagina and making sure we spend more time out of the bedroom than in it. Because I think one of the weaknesses of Black relationships, too much time indoors, not enough time outdoors. And you know what I say to that? To any Black woman? If your man spends more time with you indoors than outdoors, sooner or later that relationship is going to suffocate and die.
Now, when you say spend time outdoors, you mean dates,
doing anything. Yes.
anything? Okay.
Yes. And another mistake that women make when they get with us, they stop doing what they used to do when we met them. That's what attracted me to you.
In the first
Used to
place.
work out every other day. Used to take your mother to church. Used to go with your girlfriends on, you know, sexy singles once a month, whatever. Why did you stop doing the things that attracted me to you? Women need to understand keeping a man is war. I want you to hear what I'm saying, ladies. I want you to hear what I'm saying, ladies. And it's the same thing with us too.
Yeah.
Same thing with us too.
Facts.
Women cheat just as much as men. They just know how to do it better so they don't get caught. The reason I say keeping a man is war is because once you conquer a country, you got to keep from someone else conquering it. When a woman finally gets the man she want, she got to keep him satisfied so the 16 other ones who ain't got a man don't get him. You see that?
Yeah.
And what happens with a lot of sisters is they let themselves go. Kitchen, bedroom, physically, their social life, their career, their business. Keep doing what attracted me to you. Don't reinvent yourself because you finally got me the way you wanted me. And it's the same thing with us. I hear sisters, they complain, Dr. Umar, my husband getting all fat, his jeans is getting tight. When I met him, he was swaggerlicious in the gym, ran ball. Now he fat, gut, beers every day, tight jeans. Brother, why did you stop being who you was when she met you? Just how you got her, you can lose her. Get yourself back together again. That's very important. And for my marijuana brothers who love smoking, that slows down your body's ability to respond when your woman is ready to get pleasure. You know, marijuana, THC, it slows down all your motor function. So if you are a weed head, it's going to be hard for you to get it up when she's ready for some, that Shango stick. So my weed head brothers, please be careful because a lot of you marijuana addicts cannot perform in the bedroom. And I'm telling you right now, if your woman is on fire and you cannot perform, she gonna go get her one of them 25-year-old corner boys. And you know what Mike gonna do to that ass. He gonna tear up and send her home with the mac and cheese. He don't even want the mac and cheese. He just want the cheese.
He do it for free. He do it for free. Shout out to the members, man. Shout out to the niches. Shout out to Rashida Conley. She says, Dr. Umar, I haven't heard your thoughts on women without children, dating or marrying men with children. How do women navigate that in the Black family?
Because I literally heard a woman, I just spoke to a young lady yesterday. She said, Ty, ain't no way in hell. I don't care. I'm not dating no man with kids, no matter what.
There you go again. There she go again. Unnecessarily cutting down an already dismally small pool of available men. I hear men say it ain't just women. To me, first of all, it's selfish. Let's just be a woman who won't date a man with children is selfish. A man who won't date a woman with children is selfish. Children belong to the community. How dare you say you don't want to date somebody with children? I think it's selfish. That's number one. Number two, why doesn't she have a child? Or is she planning to have one with this man who has children? Because I'm telling you right now, there is nothing more unhealthy than for a Black woman to not give birth to a child if God gave her the ability to do so.
Really?
Some of the meanest, nastiest women I've ever met in my life were without child.
Wow.
Do you hear what I'm telling you? Oh, yes. I remember I used to work in an office with all Black female psychologists. I was the only male. They were mean. They were nasty. The minute she got married, she turned into the sweetest person. The minute she had a child, she became the nicest. They changed overnight because Black women are meant to have birth under the right circumstances with the right person. But if a woman is in her 40s and she ain't had a child yet, I'm wondering why. Now, some sisters are healthy. They're just not doing it because they're waiting for the right person. But you can't keep on waiting. Listen, I have two daughters.
What if a woman says, I don't want to have kids? Like she just makes her mind up. She says,
oh, no children, period. Even if she get married.
Even if I get married, even I don't want no kids. What do you assume of that woman?
I'm assuming there's some trauma. Were you the oldest and were always made to take care of your siblings? Because you know, when you are parentified too early, that eats away at your desire to have your own children because you had to be mom and dad to your little brothers and little sisters. And so a lot of times the oldest kid, don't have children because they were parentified to.
They already raised kids.
They already raised kids. So, but there's a trauma there. There's a trauma there. Ain't no such thing as a black woman who don't want kids, and there ain't no trauma there. There's always a trauma there. Black woman is the mother of all. If a woman tell you I don't want no kids, now if she's in her 20s, I don't pay it no mind. We all say that when we 20 because we selfish. We want our money, but she 30 and 40 saying I don't want no kids. There's a trauma there.
Damn,
that's wild right there. Interesting. Well, we got some other ones in there, and guys, listen, we ain't gonna have Dr. Umar Johnson all night. So get these chats in, get these super chats in so we can go ahead and have it in here.
And I got to deal with the cheating piece. Let me deal with this cheating piece.
Okay.
Black women, black women, black women, black women. If my daughter comes to me and say, Daddy, Baba, my husband cheated on me, I'm going to say, Princess, give me a hug, sit down. I need to talk to you. Is he a good provider? Yes. Does he take good care of you? Yes. Does he ever disrespect you, raise his hand to you? No. Outside of this cheating, is he pretty much what you need in a man? Yes, he is. What do we know about this woman? Was this thing purely sexual? Was it a hit and miss? Is it a work romance? Or is he really feeling this woman? If she tells me this was a hit and miss, I'm going to tell her, go have a conversation with him about his infidelity. Let him know you do not like it. But there's two things I want you to think about. I will never tell you not to leave a man because he cheated. I will never tell you that. If you want to leave him because he cheated, go ahead and do it. But I want to ask you a question. How many men you expect to find out there who are never going to go outside that marriage at least occasionally to experience another woman? I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying it's not realistic to leave a good man for an oops. Now, let me tell you when you better leave him. I'm going to tell you when you better pack your shit. I'm going to come pack it. If you find out the other woman is more important than you now. If you find out he has removed you from the throne and put another woman on the throne, and now you number two, when you was always number one, you got to leave. There's no greater disrespect a man pays to his woman than to put another woman in her place. When a man replaces a woman, she needs to leave because that is a sign that you are no longer what you were to him. And if you hang around too long, you will see your rank drop again and again and again till you don't even matter no more.
Yeah, you in trouble at that point.
So you better leave when you ain't number one no more. But if you still number one and you know you number one, have a conversation, princess. But I don't think you kick him to the curb for this oops.
First of all, I love the analogy of talking to your daughter because, man, I've never heard nobody break it down like that, but that's exactly the thought process you should have in considering and making such a big decision. Now, your son comes to you. Pops, she cheated on me. What does he consider in his decision making?
It's going to be different. For what I said earlier, if your woman spread her legs for another man, that's rarely just sex unless you can't please her in the bedroom. Now, if he tells me, Dad, I'm having troubles pleasing my wife in the bedroom, that's a different issue. Then the question becomes, did she ask you to get help? Did y'all ever go to a sex therapist and try to work on the situation? Is there something that happened in your childhood that I need to know about? You feel me? But if it ain't that, your woman, and assuming she's not a promiscuous woman, you ain't marrying no hoe. She a hoe, that's different. That's what they do. They pop Gucci. Right. But you got you a real woman. You got a real woman who loves you and she spread her legs for another man. She got a connection with him. You got to have a deep conversation with her and find out, is he her new number one? And are you the legal husband, now the side piece?
Insane.
Will she actually be able to give you that in conversation?
Believe it or not, a lot of women would.
Wow.
They're going to tell you straight up.
You know why? Because they're so frustrated at having given us warning after warning
and
plea after plea to get this shit together. And a lot of them can't wait to tell you to your face, yes, because I gave you a chance to handle this and you wouldn't. If a woman loves you, sleep with another man, she feels some type of way about it. She may not have replaced you yet, but if you want it, you better get it back and get it back quick, because a good woman don't spread their legs easy. Not when they in love with a man. They don't do it. Now, yeah, they do revenge sex. Revenge sex doesn't have to be anything meaningful, you know, if it's just revenge sex. But if it ain't revenge sex and she's really cheating because she's cheating, there's something more to that situation.
I want to ask that question for the ladies. This going to be...
Go ahead.
See, here's the thing about the poll. It's anonymous, ladies. So y'all need to keep it all the way 1,000. Because I want to understand why women cheat. Okay? Because we gave a couple reasons right there. We talked about the bad sex. We talked about revenge sex. And we'll put a third one in there. Just bored. Just put a board with your relationship.
So is that the poll? Why do women cheat? Is that the poll? What's the poll?
I want to know, what are the reasons they go outside or they're willing to have sex with another man in a relationship? I just summed it up as to why women cheat.
And why they polling, I want to say this to black women, men too, but especially women, because we're more likely to tell a woman the truth about their sexual performance. Women don't like to tell men because they don't want to emasculate us. Black women, sex isn't the only thing, but it's important. If your man cannot please you, you need to let him know. Now, if he don't have sufficient size, you might got to get another man. I mean, because you can't repeat. There's nothing you can do about size. If he ain't got enough.
But is that really the reason? And she shouldn't even.
No, stay with me. It depends, because every woman made different. If you got you a 6'6" sister, you got to have a pipe that can lay her down. You understand? You can't come to Queen Latifah with no tic tac, right?
Right.
So I'm saying, if the man is not the right size, she might got to consider another man. I don't even think they get that far if he wasn't the right size. So we could put that to. I don't think they get that far if he wasn't the right size.
That's a fact.
Now, if he can't perform, she needs to tell him that so he can work on it. There's nothing worse for a woman's future sexual health than to fake an orgasm when you're not even being pleased. And I've had women tell me they are faking orgasms when they're not even being pleased. Why you got this man thinking he raising you through the roof and he barely raising your temperature? You got to talk to him. Too many women are doing that, and they're going unfed, unpleased, and it's not good. Let him know that you need to do things differently.
See, this is my thing. You know, I would actually say I think the statistics say that most women actually don't orgasm or just generally aren't pleased sexually in their relationships. Now, the reality of it is, should sex...
Some of that's trauma too. Because if you're mostly preoccupied, your mind isn't free enough to orgasm. Sometimes it's not your fault. I've had men say, Dr. Umar, my wife loved the sex. She cannot orgasm. Unconsciously, your wife is preoccupied with issues. It may have nothing to do with you. It could be her relationship with her father. It could be her relationship with her sister. But she has, in order for a woman, they're not like us. Us is we can be purely physical. A woman's mind has to be in the moment. This is why depressed women can't orgasm, anxious women can't orgasm, bipolar, borderline women can't orgasm, because women who suffer from intrusive thinking, constantly thinking, neuroticism, they can't orgasm because they can never live in the moment, and they can never stop thinking about things outside of the bedroom at that moment. A psychologically unhealthy woman is going to have a very hard time orgasming.
You know what? I think it's probably the same for brothers too. When you think about the thoughts, a brother not in his mind, not present in the moment with that woman, thinking about these. Because I'll tell you this personally, when my money not right, and when I'm not where I want to be in life, I'm not thinking about no sex.
I feel you. I'm with the scene. I'm with you.
Like, I'm not even, you know.
I'm with you.
So that makes a lot of sense.
I'm with you.
That ladies in that situation with their mind occupied in that way, they'll have those same issues. Ryan, you just dropped this poll. Tell them about this poll we just dropped.
So I just dropped this poll. It is let me check it out real quick. Where we at? Hold on.
Why did you cheat in your relationship?
So I got 4 options for this. I got bad sex. I got boredom / fell out of love. I got money problems. And I got needs weren't satisfied.
That's like a little cop out they're gonna put right there. I want to see. I'm ready to see this one. We already got 235 votes on this one.
What does boredom mean too? By the way, like, I mean, you just. The relationship is just whack. The person is just.
We gonna see.
Kind of doing the same old things. No cologne or, no swag. What's the deal?
See, for me, cheating for money problems. That's poor character. Because black men struggle economically. To cheat because he ain't bringing home enough money, why were you with him at all? I got a little bit of a problem with the money, unless if he wasting all the money, that's different. But if you saying he's not bringing home enough money and you cheated on him, ooh, I can't. That's poor character for me.
So the economic issue that we have obviously has affected our relationship.
It has.
The whole 50-50 conversation is all just pretty much us communicating the economic issues that we have in our relationships, and we don't know how to manage finances even manage expectations from one another.
That's true.
That's why you bring up even polygyny when you create it as an economic option for us to be able to pool finances. But if you can imagine, if a woman is talking about already having a hard enough idea, being with a brother that's trying to split it 50-50, you damn sure better believe she ain't about to share the brother and go 33. You damn sure best believe that's not gonna happen because of the mindset that we have. Is this a poor mindset? Even when you hear that conversation, is that a reflection of a dangerous mindset we have as it relates to relationships, or is it true that a man's job should be at the highest levels to, remove all financial burden from his woman?
In a perfect world, yes. But black men live in a world that's far less than perfect. And our sisters have to understand that. And nothing unnerves me more than when black women complain about black men who cannot provide them with the level of material comforts that they want. I don't know if y'all remember a couple months ago, the sisters was going off because the brother took them to the Cheesecake Factory.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
What's wrong with the Cheesecake Factory?
Right.
I like the Cheesecake Factory, but for her, that was too cheap. And to that, you know what I would say? A woman that unappreciative don't deserve to have a man. You don't deserve to have a man. It is a struggle out here for black men. We got to put up with racist white men. You feel me? You got to put up with less pay, even when you got more credentials. Black men go through hell. You often have to suffer emasculation at the hands of white people, only to come home and have a woman tell you, I don't want to go eat at the Cheesecake Factory, or I don't want a Honda Accord. Are you kidding me? Like, I'm supposed to basically kill myself because you want to imitate the lifestyle of white high society. First of all, most white women ain't even living like that.
Right.
Most white women aren't even living like that. So you asking me to provide you with a lifestyle that most white women don't even have. So if her privileged white husband can't even give her that house and that car, what makes you think I should be able to do it as well? I just believe we wasting a lot of money as black men that could be better spent on the community trying to satisfy selfish black women with expensive materialistic gifts. That's my opinion.
It's ratchet. It's all ratchet.
Have a nice life. Go find you another brother who's going to do all that for you. I'm not.
And that's a fact. Where we at on that poll? Let's see if the money problem is really even an issue.
Let me check it out. And listen, I had a couple people drop in the chat that I missed the revenge sex option, which I did. So if revenge sex is your reason, go ahead and feel free to throw that in the chat right now. Nobody will shame you for that.
We won't shame you.
We're just trying to get honest reasoning.
I'll tell you a condition that a lot of women cheat under, because I've had a lot of women tell me.
What's that?
Revenge sex on a man whose sex wasn't shit. Oh, she's getting some dick. You couldn't please her and you cheated on her. Oh, she's getting some.
Oh, wow.
She's gonna go right to Big Harry. Oh, she's getting some. You had a nerve to cheat on me, and you don't even please me.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. She gone.
Man. Okay, so
because
look.
as far as she's concerned, she's been practicing patience the whole relationship. You see what I'm saying?
Right,
and you had the audacity to cheat on me, and you can't even please me. She gone.
She like, I wish your ass would.
She gonna be at the Bobby Brown concert, the Tyrese concert,
the
Genuine Usher concert,
everything.
Maxwell. Oh, you should have never done that. You ain't even got good sex, and you gonna cheat. Oh, she's getting you back.
So I got look. Why did you cheat in your relationship? We got 61% of people say needs weren't satisfied.
I thought that would be it.
Yeah, that was.
It's the catch-all.
Yeah,
it's the catch-all.
Yeah,
It's the safest one. It's the safest one.
But you know what? The biggest need, and we talked attention.
that is.
Attention. Men not investing time. We underestimate how important time is for a woman. And guess what? It's a good way to study the woman. Because if you got a woman who don't want you investing time, you know she's only there for your change. A woman who don't want to see you is a woman who's only there for your pocket.
That's, you know what?
Yes.
Matter of fact, ladies, put your number one need in the chat right now. If you put that in there, I want to see your need in the chat. If you're watching a replay, put your need in the comment that you was not satisfied. And that's a great point, because you want your woman wanting you.
Yes.
You know, trying to pull you from work and be
Yes.
spending time with you.
Yes.
A woman that's way too accommodating, that's okay with you not being around with her, that's okay with you not spending time. That's an issue, because it's the push and pull that makes it fun, that keeps it exciting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the man who stands to gain the most from another black man who doesn't spend sufficient time with his woman is a co-worker. More than half of all black women cheat with the co-workers.
The work husband.
Because remember, they with him 40 hours.
Oh, yeah.
They with him 40 hours. So you mean to tell me she with him 40 hours a week and she don't even get 4 with you? He gonna get the cookies.
That's why even sometimes it's the guy's friend, because proximity has a lot to do with cheating.
Yeah, she's not trying to go too far. Whoever is close.
Man.
So the man is close.
It is, but that's ratchet though.
That is ratchet, yeah.
That gets your life took in these streets.
Absolutely.
It's scary out here.
Very scary.
That gets your life. Now, I'll tell you this. I've had the exes of some of my friends try to approach me. For some of them, I knew it was revenge sex. For others, I think they just genuinely wanted a better man and they felt I was that. Right? But I never did it. I always shut them down, but I never told my brothers. You feel me? Because I didn't know if that would affect our relationship.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? So I shut it down, and out of respect for her, I never took it to him because it never went nowhere. But women can be scandalous.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm like, you can't come to me. That's my ace. You see what I'm saying?
Scandalous.
They got no problem.
Women can be scandalous, and they know how to cheat better than us. See, we get caught because we don't want to hide anyway. That's the narcissism. You feel me? Fuck that. What I gotta hide for? I'm the man. Women, they play that whole role. They know when to cheat, how to cheat. They know how to do it. But ladies, I need my older sisters to hear me now. If you over 35, especially over 40, loosey-gooseys. You can't be out there cheating and come home with a loosey-goosey. Your husband going to know. And there's nothing more unattractive than a woman with no walls.
So
Slayer. Yo, that's a fact.
Let me ask you this, Dr. Umar, because I want to know this about you, because you, as far as your journey, you obviously are living a purpose, purpose-led life. Yes. And do you feel a woman would help you personally be more productive, get farther, faster in your life, or would it be something that could potentially slow you down from accomplishing the mission?
That's a great question. Without a doubt, I would probably have 3 schools up and running by now if I had a wife who I got to see daily.
Wow.
There were women I've dated before I blew up, right? I blew up in 2010, Chicago and New York. If I knew that my life was going to change on September the 18th and October 30th of 2010, I would have probably married Kim or Sabrina or Andrea or Tamala or Wendy. Those were 5 women who could have ended up being my wife. And had I knew that my life would change the way it did, I think one of them would probably be my wife right now. You feel me? But I didn't know what was coming. And the fear that I have now is I don't know what women I could trust.
Right.
Because of who I am. Some women want to date you just to try to expose you. You know, some women are so hate-filled with black men. If they don't get their way, they hit you with a Jonathan Majors or worse. You know, so now you're walking on eggshells, you know, but once I find that woman, 2, 1, whichever it is, it won't be more than that. I know I'll get a whole lot more done. But the challenges I've had to now, like you might say, Doc, why not? Why you ain't married? Number one, I travel too much. Women want their time. I ain't got a lot of it. So if you needy or thirsty, or if you just a regular woman who want a regular life, Dr. Umar, the husband you need to be looking for. So that's number one. I travel. Number 2, because I'm a therapist, I attract damaged women.
Wow.
Because I'm a therapist, they feel the healer in me. So I tend to, not everybody I attract is damaged.
Right.
But I attract damaged women because they want the healer in me. But they fail to realize, though, with the work that I do for the people, when I come home, I need you to heal me.
You need a healer.
If I got to come home and heal you too, I'm being drained. Now you're a spiritual vampire. Another issue I've had with sisters I've dated, their insecurity around other women. As you know, most of our kids are raised by their mothers, right? So if I'm doing a seminar, women are definitely there in abundance. I need you not to get an attitude because she hugged me a little tight. I'll never see her again. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I need you not to feel some type of way because you see a little glisten in her eyes. It's just a lecture. You understand?
Yeah.
That's like Usher's wife tripping because he on stage singing to her. That's part of the show. That's what he do. I serve children, so I got to serve the mother. If you're going to be insecure over every woman in every city, you can't be my wife. An insecure woman could get nowhere with me because there's always going to be women around. Insecurity has been a big problem.
So what does a confident woman look like?
She don't sweat nothing. She's always laid back. She sees it, she smiles at it, and she keeps on moving. You see? But those, I would say those would be the big, and I got to give you the last one. The loosey-goosey. Because I travel so much, I don't get to see my lady friends often. If you don't get to see your lady friend often, you know exactly what kind of condition they're supposed to be in. There's nothing like being into a woman, like digging them, and they hit you with a loosey-goosey.
Slayer.
And I'm not mad because you stepped out. I'm no dummy. If I'm going for 6 months, I don't think you was meditating that whole time. But my thing is, you knew you was going to see me this day. Why you ain't get yourself back together? That's where I'm in.
Ain't hit the vinegar or nothing.
Right. No respect.
You ain't take a nice rose petal bath with some frankincense and some hoodoo juice and get, you know what I mean?
Right.
You came to me like that. That's what bothers, you know. And then the last one, there's a lot of good black women out here. I meet them all the time. And so narrowing that down is difficult. And sometimes I don't know if I use the work as a distraction or am I just genuinely distracted. But with all that said, I do have a friend, a very good friend. And I think she might be one of the two. I think she might be. So we working on it.
Okay.
But spiritually, I was told by the priest, Babalawo, priest of Ifa, Yoruba tradition out of Nigeria. I was told through divination that I won't find my wife till the school is up and running.
Wow.
He said the school got to come first and then the wife. That's exactly what he said.
One of my biggest fears is that I will end up in a situation that you're in right now where I've achieved so much success where I then become so cynical. you know, in where every woman, whether she my wife or not, I just can't trust her.
Ooh.
And I,
you got to fight against that though.
But see, I know myself.
That's a
that's
a lonely position to be in.
It's a very lonely, and that's why I'm asking you this, because I understand. First of all, I know I need a healer with what I'm doing.
Okay.
I expect that from my woman. Listen, we about to grub after this. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, because the women in my life about to heal you.
Yes,
you feel what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So the thing about it is, I can imagine with your work, you know, what you need, and just in general, us as men, we as a culture, we're getting married later. We pushing it back. I think now they saying it's 30, the average age now that
age for
marriage.
Oh, it's getting older for all Americans.
And see that,
but especially us. Everybody marrying later, even white folks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Everybody marrying later.
But I don't know. But is that healthy? Is that
for
good?
me? It would be. I'm gonna tell you why. A 45-year-old woman, hypothetically, a 45-year-old woman then been through the bullshit. She done already had her coochie scratched every which way it can be. She done already raised her kids. And at this point in her life, she knows exactly what she wants. You feel me? The problem with getting married older is her biological clock might have expired. It can work for men. It can't work for women. We can have babies until we old. Women cannot. So does it work for us? Yes. Does it work for the community? No, because our sisters need to be having babies sooner than that. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Works for us. It don't work. Don't get me wrong. Sisters do well with an older husband too. But for sisters who want to give birth within wedlock, that's the issue. Birth within wedlock, marriage got to come sooner.
It got to.
And you know, somebody asked me about arranged marriage. What I think about arranged marriage. I'm not against it if the people being arranged are virgins. Once you have committed the sin of premarital sex, what do we call it? The word for sex without marriage. Not adultery, but fornication. Once you have fornicated multiple times, you have now developed preferences. You know how good oral sex can be. You know how fat the butt can be. You know how good same thing with the woman, size and technique. The problem with premarital sex, this is why God never wanted for us to have sex outside of marriage. Because once you've experienced things that you should have only experienced within wedlock, you develop preferences. So when you meet a really good woman, she's everything you need, but she can't turn it up in the bedroom like that freak can. You may pass up on your soulmate because she can't please you like the freak. And a lot of people have lost out on good relationships because they didn't come with freak of the week talent. And that's why with plural marriage, if we decided to start marrying our children before sex, it could be a good thing if you got healthy parents making a decision, because guess what? If my daddy choose my wife, she's the only woman I ever felt, taste, touch. You understand? You always going to be content because you ain't had nothing else. But if you've been with 5 or 6 freaks and dad say, I got a wife for you, you're like, Dad,
you got a problem.
Wait a minute, Dad, I got to test them out first.
Right.
And too often, people are letting sex be the determinant, and we shouldn't be. I've had women, sisters, admitted, Dr. Umar, I should have married him, but he couldn't turn it up in the bedroom. And I went with my first love, and it was the worst decision that I made. We given sex too much room. And I believe one of the reasons sex is taking up too much space when it comes to choosing our life mate is we are not spiritually grounded. You're over relying on pleasure. If your relationship with supreme consciousness was where it needed to be, pleasure would not be so prominent in your life. But because you don't have that relationship with God that you need, pleasure is carrying too much weight. And that's a big problem with a lot of us.
Wow. You pleasure seeking.
Pleasure seeking.
Looking for love in all the wrong places.
Pleasure seeking.
Man, first of all, man, Dr. Umar is in the building.
Yes,
And he is in the building.
Yes.
And first of all, if y'all are feeling what y'all hearing right now, if y'all enjoying the show, I want y'all to just drop a flame right now. Just drop the flame in the chat, in the comments right now. However you seeing this, if you're enjoying what's happening right now.
We had a super chat come in. Shout out to Gloria Nicole Johnson. She says, can we please talk about not dating until we know our purpose? When we know our purpose, we know who fits in our future. And I'm going to add something to that because you mentioned that you shouldn't be dating
with low self-esteem. If you got low self-esteem, you should only date people with low self-esteem because you don't think nobody wants you and they don't think nobody wants you.
But it's a self-esteem crisis. You know,
it is.
So there's a lot of people that should not be dating.
But people with low self-esteem are not attracted to people they're attracted to people with
high self-esteem.
That's exactly what they're attracted to.
Which means they end up getting exploited, abused, betrayed, and dogged out. And those are the 4 main traumas of post-traumatic relationship disorder. And then you have baby mama trauma, baby mama drama, baby daddy drama. And I'm going to tell you something else we better deal with if we want to save the Black family. We're going to have to come together and create our own child support and custody system because the white man's family court is destroying the trust that Black men and Black women have for each other more than almost anything else you can think of. When I go to the high schools and the colleges, you know what the young brothers say? Dr. Umar, I'm not getting married. Why? Because my mama put my daddy on child support and he had to move in with his mama in order to pay child support for me and my siblings. I'm hearing a whole generation of young Black males. I'm not getting married because ain't no woman putting me on child support or taking half of what I got. This child support, child custody situation has gotten so bad that it's influencing our sons to not seek a relationship with our daughters. We got to get it under control. And I think one of the best things we can do to get the child support and custody system under control is create councils of elders in all of our cities. So if she feel I'm not giving her enough money for the baby, take it to the elders. If I feel she not let me spend enough time with my daughter, take it to the elders. That's how African culture work. We don't have no organization. We ain't got no elder council. So everybody running to the white man, and the white man ain't doing nothing but exploiting the hatred we got for each other towards the destruction of the Black family. Child support and custody court is playing a big role in this. And you got women, ladies, y'all have to stop using family court as a weapon to destroy a man because he don't want you. And Black men, we got to practice more sexual discipline. We have to practice more sexual discipline. We giving women babies who we don't want, which is causing nothing but pain and hurt. And she carries that baggage with her into the next relationship. So now you spoiling the next man's life because you didn't treat his woman right when you had her. We got to do better.
And that's a fact. Let's close out with these last few super chats. If you ain't get your super chats in, you about to miss out on this opportunity to kick it here with Dr. Umar Johnson that's currently in the studio.
And
the ladies, I know y'all have to project this idea of sexual discipline, but we'll never fix none of our problems if we don't have candid conversations. And I'm seeing several comments here about not having no sex until you get married. Yet that's not realistic. You know, I'd rather be alone than share my man. That's not realistic. We got to be honest. If y'all just want to keep projecting holier than thou energy, we'll never get these problems solved, y'all. Be honest about how you feel. Half of all married people cheat, especially the ones who go to church. So cut it out.
They ain't safe for the church.
Yes.
Yo, bring on one more. Let's finish out with
Tanya. Go ahead.
She been in there waiting.
You say Tanya been in there waiting.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, Tanya, you have been summoned. You about to come on Hall Initiated.
Get that mic right, Tanya.
Get your mic right, Tanya. What's up with you, sweetheart?
Hi. Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you perfectly.
I love that excitement.
If you can, go ahead and start here with your age, your location, and your question.
All right. My name is Tanya. I am 49 and I'm in South Carolina. I have 4 daughters. I was married for 21 years. I've been divorced for about 7 years. And I'm not interested because I think I'm doing what Dr. Umar Johnson says is giving off that don't talk to me energy. But anyway, I'm not interested in my relationship. I'm more interested in my daughters. So my girls are about to be 29, 27, 21, 22, and 20. I want to be able to, because their dad is kind of whatever, that relationship is what it is. But I'm encouraging that relationship with their father, but I can't really do anything. So how are we as parents able to mimic good relationships, but also how are we able to help our daughters when there's an absence of good male role models, to be able to give the knowledge that they need to be able to put themselves out there in a healthy manner, to be able to get a relationship, marry, have children, and give back to the Black community?
Great point. First of all, and I'm sure you're already, doing this, never speak negative about their dad. I'm sure you don't. Encourage them to spend time with their father, because whether they like it or not, they need that. You feel me?
Yep.
As I said earlier, daughter needs a love affair with daddy so she can have a healthy one with a man later on in life.
Yeah.
They don't even know why they need it, but you know why they need it.
Yeah.
I would also recommend, I don't know if this is possible, even though you and her father and their father is no longer together, can y'all do some family activities with him, you and him and them?
Wow.
Not that y'all getting back together, but I would love for your girls to see that mom and dad can still care about each other and treat each other with respect, although they are divorced. That would work miracles for them, because you know what that would show them? Even if we don't make it, we can still be friends. Because we have too many relationships in the Black community that when they're over, we almost feel like everything got to be toxic. We have this energy that if the relationship is over, it got to be toxic. Why do we have to separate with negative energy? Why can't we just come to the conclusion that we outgrew each other, but we can still care about each other? We have to stop the toxicity. But I would love to see you do some things with him in the presence of your daughters.
I
Wow.
agree. I appreciate that. And can I ask you one more thing? Can you
Sure.
elaborate on that? Because one question I did ask him when we did have a moment of common sense and we were able to talk was, how is it that men are so easily able to move into a new relationship with another woman and choose to, as hard as that can be sometimes, and choose not to work on their relationship with their children? That especially when I am I'm different. I really don't like child support. I'm kind of a legal politician type person, so I kind of understand how laws work. So I don't like child support. I never put him on child support. All I asked is that he would have a relationship with his kids. And so to me, in society, it seemed like, and it could be other cultures, but Black men are easily to move on once the relationship is over and start relationships with new women and not put the effort into the relationship with their children currently.
Yes, ma'am. Great question. And I'm going to give you 3 reasons why. One of them we hit on earlier. Relationships function as a drug in the Black community. We use them to distract us from our personal problems that we do not want to face and address. That's number 1.
Wow.
Number 2, a lot of Black men are constantly looking for a mommy who will care for them. Maybe not financially, but emotionally, and not hold them accountable for the things they do wrong. If I had to guess, I would say the reason he moved on so quickly is he suffers from that empty bedroom syndrome, where I need a woman to distract me from me so I never have to address my underlying issues. She is a distraction. That's why he's with her. Doesn't mean he don't care. Doesn't mean she's not a good woman. Doesn't mean they don't have a half-decent relationship. But moving into a new situation and you haven't rectified the previous one, you're running away from your responsibilities.
Tanya,
Thank you so much.
Up here
We appreciate
asking
you,
these
Tanya.
great questions, Tanya. Okay,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I'll be blessed.
She was patient too. Tanya held it down.
Nah, she
about
really,
an hour,
she,
at least
she,
2 hours.
She did hold it down. You went ahead, you closed out your polls, you closed out the chats.
Yeah, we good. We good.
Well, here's what I want to talk about, because we got to let the people, we got to give the people an update and also get you good on this one so people can know what to expect.
Yes, sir.
Because we got our school currently still in the works.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And man, please let the people know what's going on with our school.
Indeed. Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. I want to let all our donors know all the major renovations have been completed, inspected, and approved. We have 2 final inspections. Thank you. Yes. We have 2 final inspections. We need an L&I building inspection to get our certificate of occupancy, and we need the fire department inspection. The reason we haven't had them yet is because we have to get our drop ceiling repaired, because in order to get the L&I building inspection, they want the school move-in ready. So we got a couple doors we got to replace. We got a couple floors we got to do. We got to do some painting as well. A lot of small stuff, nothing major, but it got to be done in order. So for example, our fire water company has to do something to the piping. We can't put the drop ceiling back till they done doing what they doing to the piping. You feel me? That's really the biggest hang up right now. That's really we waiting on the fire water company to finish. You know, the fire water, everything is done. It's inspected and repaired, but there's something, some little gadget, something they got to do. We're waiting on them to give us a date. We've been waiting for a couple weeks now. Once they give us that, we can put the drop ceiling back, switch out the 2 doors, do the floors, and we should be ready for inspection. I'm anticipating a community grand opening celebration this spring, no later than this summer. So school will open this year for the community and for our children next year.
That's big.
That's where we at. So hit the Cash App, $FDMG School. Do not donate to the fake link. Make sure you have the right link. You can go to drumarjohnson.com for the correct link, or you can text my cell for the link, 215-989-9858, 215-989-9858. You can also use PayPal, my international Africans. You can also use PayPal, and that's paypal.me/FDMG Academy. PayPal is FDMG Academy. Cash App is FDMG School, and you can mail your check or money order payable to FDMG Academy to P.O. Box 9634, Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. But again, you have my cell number. Text me. Also, I want to hear from you all, your feedback on tonight's relationship conversation with my brothers. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What would you like for me to emphasize more? Next time we link up and have this conversation, feel free to text me directly, 215-989-9858. Couple quick announcements. Number 1, I will be leading my 7th group trip to Africa this summer. Last week of July, first week in August. Go ahead and hit it. Yes, indeed. Yes, I haven't been on a group trip in 5 years, not since the year of return 2019 Ghana. So I'm going back. I can't wait. It's been 5 years. If you want to go to Africa with Dr. Umar, I will have the registration information in about 1 week. Okay, you have until the end of July to pay for your trip. So don't waste your tax return on fake hair and Jordans. Put some of that money to the side so you can pay for the Africa trip. It's going to be 14 days, 14 nights. We're going to the slave dungeons. You're going to get an African name in the traditional African naming ceremony. We're going to Asin Mansour, where our ancestors had to wash their bodies before they were sold at the dungeons. You're going to go to the Kente cloth factory, the wood factory, the bead factory. We're going to Gambia. We're going to Senegal, to the new African History Museum in Dakar, Senegal. You're going to have a lot of fun. So if you want to come with Dr. Umar, come with Dr. Umar. Just remember the golden rule. What happens in Africa stays in Africa. Also, tomorrow, Camden, New Jersey, I'm speaking, keynoting the African-American Youth MLK Day celebration. If you have a black child, bring them on out. Camden, New Jersey tomorrow. 10 to 4 is the conference. I'll speak at 3. Tuesday, I am in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, Dr. King keynote celebration, Williamsport, PA. Thursday, Sacramento, California, for the first time in 10 years, 6 to 9, free event at the Obama Room. Friday, Antioch, California, I will be, 6 to 9, free event. If you need the flyers, text me. Jacksonville, Florida, February the 1st, first day of Black History Month. But the day before that, January 31st, we will be having our protest in Bunell, Florida. We're trying to save our brother Brendan Depper from spending the next 30 years in his life. He's the black boy who attacked the teacher's aide in the high school on the day Malcolm was assassinated, February 21st, 2022. He can get 30 years in jail. We want to protest peacefully outside the courthouse against that happening to him, because Brendan Depper was as much as a victim as the white woman he assaulted. So please come out. We calling on everybody to come out and stand with us at the Kim C. Hammond Justice Center in Bunell, Florida. Again, 215-989-9858, Atlanta. I love you.
And there we have it. Hey, listen, first of all, big shout out to all the initiates that stayed in here. Big shout out to all the members that we have.
This is big for the community for us to have Dr. Umar Johnson on the platform.
Let me tell you, requested on a very consistent basis, multiple times a week. Y'all been asking for Dr. Umar, and we finally got him here. This man, it's a blessing to have you, Dr.
I
Umar.
loved it, man.
It's a blessing to have you. This not gonna be the last time that we have you here on the platform. So we're gonna be bringing you back to Atlanta more often.
Looking forward to
100%. And I want to let y'all know this is the very last day, y'all, of our pre-order sale we having on the Hardly in Love dating cards, y'all. You talk about 100 open-ended questions that you could sit down with, and you're gonna be able to connect on the deepest level with whoever your partner is. I don't even care if you're in marriage, you better still be dating. You heard them reasons they cheat. Unfulfilled needs. Let's make sure we fulfill them needs. And guys, the link is in the chat in the description. The promo code LOVE20 gets you 20% off, and that ends in the next 24 hours. So if you're watching this video, please go ahead and take advantage of that before they go to full price. But that's the Hardly in Love dating cards here. And yeah, you got it, man. Ryan, do we got anything else we need to give to the people before we let them get up out of here?
No, that's it, guys. With the Hardly in Love cards, I'm pinning that link to the top. Y'all heard Dr. Umar. Listen, he gave his announcement, so you might have to run that back because he dropped a lot of information for y'all.
Absolutely.
But I think this was a powerful message.
Yeah.
I think we needed to hear this on so many levels. So I just feel blessed, and I don't think we could have done it without all of our top-notch initiatives. So we appreciate y'all for sure.
We appreciate y'all, man. On MLK Eve, we rocked it out with Dr. Umar Johnson the best way we probably could have ever done it. So look, much love to all of our listeners. Make sure you do not leave this platform without subscribing. I need you to go ahead and subscribe so we can continue to grow and attract amazing talents, just like the brother we got sitting here today.
I'm gonna share my screen real quick because I just want to give a shout out to all of these people right here, because we only had the initiates for 6 months.
Right.
So these are all the people right here that's been rocking with us for 6 months. So I just want to make sure to give them a shout out. That's big. Day one.
Listen, your love and support is what allows us to grow this channel. I tell everybody we walking in purpose. Y'all seeing it happen. We do this full time. There's nothing else on the side. So everybody that likes, comments, supports, and joins our membership is a major part of us being able to put this message into the space, into the world, into the atmosphere. So we love you, and you already know, Hardly Initiated.
Yes.
Are out.